Welcome to Wednesday Night Live from the Basement. Here's your hosts, Rob, Daryl, and Joe.
Except it's only Rob and Joe right now. How you guys doing?
Good.
And our guest, Richard. Daryl will be running a few minutes late. I guess he feels like, real life is more important than YouTube. So, I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. He said his wife's out of town, which I'm not sure exactly if that means she had to take the train and go somewhere. I guess I'll ask him when he gets here.
I guess so. Yeah, there was, a hockey tournament or something? Or
yeah, maybe. I don't know. Is there still hockey tournaments? Yeah, there's probably still. Well, I was going to say, is there still hockey tournaments going on? Yeah, there's the one hockey tournament going on, but so
let's hope the Oilers win tomorrow night.
Yeah, we've had this discussion before. I don't dislike hockey. I'm not a huge fan. I don't make a whole point of watching it. I don't dislike watching it.
Right.
And if I was a fan, I'd be a Flames fan, which means I shouldn't give a shit about the Oilers. But Canada, go.
They're our last hope, right?
They are our last hope.
We got to stick it to those goddamn Americans once in a while.
That's right. And a good hope, I think, as well. I mean, the way they've been playing. Anyway, My son went the Saturday afternoon game, and he said it was just insane. He paid insane amount for the ticket, but he went, so he could say he's been to a Stanley Cup semifinal game in Edmonton, and they won. So that helps. Winning helps.
Nice.
Yeah.
Chris Mann, welcome, sir.
Hey, Chris.
And John, I'm sorry if we didn't get, right here for the minute that, you wanted us to be here, but whatever.
Maybe we weren't here. How do you know we were chatting in the background? Maybe we weren't.
Trevor, How you doing, sir? Alex, Richard, what do you got on tap tonight?
Water, because I'm recovering from dental surgery.
Yeah. No beers this evening.
No beers. Sorry.
Exactly.
Yeah. I have a honey bush tea. I don't know, something else is in there, or cranberry ginger ale. So there you go.
I am drinking an iced cappuccino from Tim Hortons, and I'm going to chase that down with some water in a tumbler that says Northern Revolutions.
So we'll all have no hangovers.
Yeah. Chris, yes, it was great to have the king here. I watched the throne speech. I watched his arrival. I watched the throne speech, which was great. I watched him putting the wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. I watched him depart for England again. It was good to have him here. I wish the Royals would come more often. I'm a big Royal advocate. And listening to the throne speech, I don't know that I've ever been prouder to be a Canadian and prouder of the fact that we do, in fact, have a monarch. So, True North, strong and free. Elbows up.
Yeah, it was great. If I would have been in Ottawa, I would have tried to have taken some stuff.
I would have too. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I made sure to take an hour out of my day and I watched it because, this has only been the third time in history that the monarchs opened Parliament. So it's great. Tim, welcome.
I thought Tim had a show tonight. Oh no, he had a show last night and tomorrow. I don't think he's
right
tonight. Yeah.
Right. You are the fourth person I know that has undergone dental work from infections and whatnot. Something going around? Who knows? More like Richard's vinyl hydration station. There you go.
Yeah.
Temporary branding.
Yeah, temporary name.
Exactly. Rob, thanks for letting me work on how to use StreamYard. Yeah, so Chris does a live stream on Sunday afternoons for us, Sunday evenings for him over in Wales. And I've been privileged enough to be a guest the last couple of weeks, myself and Rob Walker. And we had Simon this week, we had Richard in England. No, Richard's in Ireland, I think.
Northern Ireland,
he was on the week before. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. And so I had to coach Chris on how to do the, making people large and whatever on the screen. But I enjoy your stream, Chris. It's a lot of fun. Anytime you want me on, man, if I can make it, I absolutely will. Yeah, not that I'm trying to invite myself on all the time, but you know what I'm saying.
Have to remember to do that. Sunday afternoons, as of late, have been racing afternoons, but
Yeah.
I'll have to forego one soon. Actually,
I
maybe
think
next week.
I want to say it was like 2:30 Eastern. I think
Yeah.
was about roughly when that was. So, Tim, yeah, pretty busy week in Ottawa. I could imagine the traffic in Ottawa the last few days has probably been something else.
Crazy. Exactly.
If I'd have been there, I would have gone though.
Yep.
So what's going on, fellas? We'll chit chat till Dara gets here. Richard, what's new and happening? Anything exciting other than exciting dental surgery?
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than life, yeah. Nothing too crazy. I just put up a video doing a 2-part May finds video. Part 1 being things I bought this month that were influenced by videos I watched on YouTube. And so shout out to lots of
By
different
folks
channels.
like Alex.
What's that?
By folks like Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you said at the end of the video, violent community influencer.
Influencer, yeah. I was like trying to find the right word. It was like, oh yeah, influencer. That works.
Yes. Exactly. That was good, man. It was good.
Thank
What
you.
about you, Joe? What's going on in the store?
Yeah, I did one for the store that went up today, basically just talking about some new vinyl that we got in and reminding folks that they can order from us and that. With that, a little story, a little rant. I try and be positive. I really, really do. I try and be a positive person, but this one pissed me off a little bit, and I've got a couple things.
Get on your soapbox.
Then we'll get on with it. But so we got in the new Morgan Wallen. It's a triple disc. We're charging $65.99. Amazon's got it for $71.99. Sunrise has it for, what do they got it at? $69.99. And then I think even on his own webpage, it's $79.99. So we're the lowest already. And, we have the capability of doing that because the store's already a store. So we can have them a little bit less. But this one guy comes in yesterday and he goes, "Can you do any better than that?" And it's like, you know what? Fuck you, man. Seriously.
Yeah, man.
Like,
Right.
For me to take $5 off or whatever you expect me to take off is not a big deal. It's just the point of it. We are already the lowest that there is. Because he doesn't go into Safeway and ask about a steak and go, "Can you do any better on this steak?" I mean, maybe he does. Maybe there are people that do that, but I don't know why. And that's the first time it's happened. And it was like, whatever,
I get it. Maybe on used stuff. Maybe there's some wiggle room on used stuff, but not new.
No, unused, yeah, and unused. It's everybody knows that comes in because I talk to them when they come in. It's like, you know what, everything's fairly priced, but give me an offer if you don't think it is, and then we'll go from there. But not to walk in on a brand new triple disc album that is super hot right now and go, "Can you do any better on this?"
Yeah.
Come on, man.
That always pisses me off, right? So I'm in sales in a commercial industrial capacity, and customers have no problems trying to beat me down all the time, right?
Yeah.
And it's okay for me to make nothing, but ask them to cut their margin for a customer. Forget it. And it's well, how's it okay for you to make money, but it's not okay for me to make money?
Yeah. And like I said, do you go into Safeway and offer less for the apples that Safeway has priced?
Right.
No, you don't. Well, again, maybe they do, but anyway. And the other one, and I'll get your guys' opinion on this. Hi, Daryl. Nice to see you.
Daryl.
I'm bitching a little bit. Guy asked me yesterday, "How many records you got?" And I said the number. And he goes, "Yeah, but how many do you listen to?" And I wanted to say, what the fuck does it matter how many I listen to? It's how many I've got. And, and I listen to them as much as I can when I can. Right. But I don't know. Do you guys get that? And then I mean, I don't know why. I don't know why I took offense to it. It was because it was really like, what the hell? What do you give a rat's ass what I listen to and I don't listen to or how many I have? But
it's kind of a dick thing to say. But, I kind of look at it like this because I think about it often as I sit here during my work day and look at all my records. And, I like sitting there looking at them. And I listen to records every day when I'm here working. I'm not always here. I'm on the road a lot of the time. And I go, I can't possibly listen to all these in a year. I mean, maybe I could if I spent a lot of time. But to me, it's not about can I listen to them all in a year? It's do I listen to all of these records? I do. And I just want to have the library that if it's something, it's everything that I love. I just want to be able to have it so that if I want to listen to it, I can.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So if it's a record I only think I'm going to listen to once, I'm not going to buy it. But if it's a record I think I'm going to listen to many times, then I own it. But it may be a year till I get around to it again, and then I might play it 5 times.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's times where it's like, oh, yeah, I forgot about this. And then it comes out of the shelf, and then it gets played a number of times, and then it goes back. Plus, there's albums in here that have at least been listened to once, but maybe not necessarily again. But A, I've got the space. B, I paid for them what I paid for them. And C, I don't give a rat's ass. I'll keep collecting.
It's kind of like for people that have a bookshelf at home, right? And let's say they have 100 books on that shelf. You read the book. Well, do you read that book every year? No. Well, why do you own it? Well, because you like the book and you're probably going to read it again at some point. It's the same with records.
Exactly.
So.
Anyway, that was just a couple things that pissed me off yesterday, but now I'm happy again. So, look, it's Daryl's smiling face. He's here now.
There he is. How's it going, Daryl? What's new in the world?
Oh, not much. I just, like I said, I was telling you guys I had to rush home from a soccer game, so all good. My kids' team lost again. It's all good.
Oh no,
it's all good. He's smiling. Whatever. Did they have fun? You think they had fun? Is it competitive?
Well, actually, this is the first year he's actually been engaged, right? Like my youngest he's on the certain end of the autism spectrum, and so just to get him even involved in sports is the whole thing. And now today was probably his best game. He was like full force out there kicking the ball around, so that's good. Can't go wrong with that.
I always told my kids until they start paying you to play a sport, make sure you're having fun, and that is the most important part. Once they start paying you, that's different. But if they're not paying you, you got to be having fun. So,
absolutely,
yeah.
I got a few comments that I have to get caught up on. There's a whole dialogue going on. Alex is telling Tim that he's listening to a record right now that he feels like only you would appreciate as much as me. A personal grail that he finally got, and that is, if I scroll down a little bit further, River Dog's self-titled album from 1990, and he wants to know if Tim is familiar, and Tim says, I do know them, good guitar band, has Andy Summers vibe, Vivian Campbell on guitar, and he's saying if he saw that record, he would throw money at it. So there you
go. Speaking of progressive rock that you may know Alex or like Alex, quickly, it's in my video that I did for the store, but if you don't watch that, I like the band Wigwam. I'm not sure if you guys watch Peacemaker. It's a show it's a superhero movie. Anyway, there's a bunch of glam rock from Europe in it and Motley Crue and a bunch of others, but there's a band called Wigwam that does the opening song. And I hadn't found any. Didn't look super hard. It was one of those things. If I come across it, great. But then I got my sheet from my suppliers of things that were coming out. And hey, right at the very top was the band Wigwam. So I bought it. But there's 2 bands named Wigwam. One is Wig with a space and Wham. And that's my Swedish, I can't remember, glam metal band. And then there's Wigwam, all one word. That is a Norwegian prog rock band from the 60s. I listened to a little bit on YouTube and it was okay, but I left it sealed. I just it got there and I went, well, this doesn't look great because I just saw Wigwam and I ordered it. So there's a word of caution if you're ordering. Actually, know which band you're getting.
Apparently, Alex knows them. He says he thinks they're from Finland.
Yeah, I keep getting it wrong. I think I think you're correct. They're Finnish. My glam metal band is Norwegian, Norway.
I thought you were going to say with the name like Wigwam, it would be like a native indigenous, tribal.
That's what I was thinking. No, the band Sweet has a song called Wigwam, though. So, if I remember correctly. Anyway.
So anything else, dude? Exciting? Anyone pick up any new records? Anything?
Yeah. Like besides that one that I didn't bring home, I got a bunch of other ones. I showed you the one that I picked up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's good. It's worth you. I don't know. Did you get yours yet?
No, I have not.
I don't know why the hell I'm not just saying what it is. It's the deluxe edition of Savior's Green Day, but it's got 5 new songs and then a couple of acoustic versions of the songs that are on there. The 5 new songs are great. If you like that album, you will certainly like the deluxe. Yeah, I mean they fit right in. They're great. And the more I listen to that, the more I remember how much I enjoy it. And the 2 acoustic versions are really good. So I think you'll enjoy it.
I will pick it up. I just didn't. My car was in the shop getting fixed today, and I mean, I could have taken the wife's car, but I didn't. So, and I was so goddamn busy with work that.
Yes, you said.
Oh man, it's put it this way. So I'm the sales manager, and I'm the senior person in Canada, and we have new management, and the boss, for whatever reason. I guess because he thinks I have a level of competency, I suppose, has entrusted me with responsibilities far greater than what are actually my responsibilities. And so I'm up to my eyeballs in paperwork. So much so that today he had me meeting with real estate brokers to talk about renegotiating the lease on our building. And I go, I'm just a fucking sales manager.
Exactly.
But I look on the bright side as well. I guess he entrusts me with important things, so I guess that's a good sign, I suppose.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to the record store, as the long-winded say. I didn't get to the record store today, but hopefully the next couple days I'll get out and pick it up, or I might Amazon it, maybe. Who knows? So I did get a very exciting VCLT in the mail today from Keith at Attack from Down Under. I don't say down under because I sound like an idiot when I say it. Down under. I'm going to say. I'm going to do a video about that on Sunday, but it was incredibly cool. So, Keith, if you happen to watch this later on, you're the best, man. It's pretty exciting. Mr. Walker, how you doing?
Evening.
I've been on a live stream with Rob and Chris the last couple Sundays, which has been a lot of fun. So, yeah. So, tonight, we're talking connections, which is a thing we started, several weeks ago or months ago or whatever. And I think I don't know. To me, it's one of my favorite topics. It's for those that haven't seen us do it before. One of us takes a turn, and this week it's Joe's turn, where he picks a dozen records, but because he can't count, he picked 13 this week.
Yeah, that's right.
So for anyone who is triskaidekaphobic, which is people who are afraid of 13, pick a dozen records and give us the list ahead of time, and we all each pull a dozen records that are related in some way to the ones that Joe showed. So it's kind of a neat, at least we think it's fun. I hope you folks that are watching think it's fun, but it kind of gives us, it stretches our brain and maybe teaches us a little bit about music. I know I've learned a lot doing these episodes. So yeah, to that end, we'll jump in and Joe will show his first record, and then we'll go to Richard, who's our honorary guest this week. So, Joe, take it away, sir.
We'll do them in the order I sent them to you. We're gonna start off with a little Pink Floyd and The Wall, and don't forget the new rule. If it's a gatefold, you got to show the gatefold. That's pretty cool. I mean, for those that are unfamiliar, which I'm pretty sure is nobody in this chat and or currently watching. There you go. A lot of the imagery is also in the movie. But the album came first, and then they took the imagery and put it in the movie, if I remember correctly. I think that's right. Anyway, just one of my favorites from back in the day. Not necessarily my favorite Pink Floyd, although I do enjoy it, and I know it's not. I know it's not one guy's favorite Pink Floyd because I watched his most recent video. So we're going to disagree on that one, but it's not that I don't like the one you talk about, but that's not my favorite. And this isn't my favorite either. But anyway, so that's what we're going to start with. I think, honestly, I believe that this is the album that I have listened to the most ever. I think Tom Petty Full Moon Fever might come in second, but I think this is the album that since I got it, I have just listened to it the most amount of times. So there you go. And I think this is just a nice clean Canadian copy. It's not my original. That's over there. This is my original was Beat to Hell. So I got myself a reissue. But there you go. So that's where we start. And there's lots of cool stuff that goes along with it, but I'm not going to show all that, the posters and things like that. But if it's a gatefold, you got to show the gatefold. That's the new rule. There you go. Boy. You're up.
Okay. Guest of honor. Your response.
Well, hello. First of all, this is my OG copy that has the Pink Floyd loose paper, which I conveniently stuck inside. This is not my favorite Pink Floyd by a mile, and I will show the gatefold just because I need the information on here in order to make my connection. So, looking all the very small print that is on the inside of the, my God, good thing I got good near vision. But one of the things I found, and of course now I can't find it. Oh, there it is, very far right corner. Hi, Chris. This album was recorded at Super Bear in France. So doing some research, I figured out it's like Super Bear, was anything else recorded there? And it turns out that Queen Jazz was recorded at Super Bear in France. And Super Bear, I guess, is outside of Nice in southern France, a big residential type recording studio. You can just hang out, live, record to your heart's content. But yeah, so Jazz was also recorded at Super Bear. I will show the gatefold, or Joe will have my ass if I go.
That's right.
And I do not have the original poster in here. I do not know what happened.
Is that Super Bear inside the gatefold?
Yeah, I was going to say that must be Super Bear inside the gatefold, right? All set up, I would assume.
Yeah, that's a
there
good
you
point.
go.
Oh, there you go. That's Super Bear. If that's well and true, it could well be. Look at that.
It's always cool when we show that album too, because it always looks like it's moving a little bit on the front cover, just because of not so much on the back, but on the front, it just looks like the lines are kind of like it's animated a little bit. So
just a bit.
Either that or it's the acid I took earlier. I don't know.
The more I played this, the more
at your age, Joe. I think you mean antacid.
Yeah, pretty much. And I'm sorry, Richard. What did you say? The more you play it, the more you like it.
The more I play jazz, the more this becomes like one of my more favorite Queen albums. But my favorite one is still News of the World, and Queen 2 would be right underneath that. So there.
Well done.
Awesome.
I can assure you that there will be some Queen showing up later this evening, but not connected to this record. So
I was going to say the same thing. There will be a Queen record coming up later too.
All right. What do you got for the wall there, Daryl?
All right. So I'd like to preface this by saying, for those of you that have not watched the episode, the little shot that Joe did earlier is The Wall is not my favorite Pink Floyd album, but one of the ones that most Pink Floyd fans don't like is. So there we go. The Division Bell is my favorite one. So there we go.
Oh, yes.
So
I wasn't going to say which one because it's in the video, but yeah.
That's true. That's true. There's some controversial choices in that video. Anyway.
It's good video. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So my connection to Pink Floyd's The Wall is from everything I've read, it is classified as a rock opera, is what they consider The Wall. So I don't know. This is actually a twofer. It's the only one I'm going to do a twofer, but I do have two rock operas in my collection. This one here, I have never shown. I've never seen it, never seen the Broadway play or anything like that. And it is considered a pretty controversial movie, but Andrew Lloyd Webber's Jesus Christ Superstar with the gatefold. Yeah, I mean, this is a rock opera, and that's my connection to that. But the second rock opera, and I actually didn't realize this was a rock opera. I just assumed that it was one of his best albums and definitely my favorite album, but I did not realize that Bat Out of Hell is also considered a rock opera. So
absolutely.
That is my connection, and I mean, this is fantastic. I actually listened to the Jesus Christ Superstar just on my Spotify today because it's been a long time since I've listened to Jesus Christ Superstar. It's very unique, very eclectic, and I happen to pick it up in just somebody else's collection. But those are my connections. It's a twofer rock opera connection.
I'm glad you showed Bat Out of Hell because Paradise by the Dashboard Light is one of Joe's favorite songs. Right up there with Summer of '69.
No, but Paradise by the Dashboard Light came back off of the shit list. Remember?
Oh, okay.
It came back off of the I've heard it too many times because I heard it and went, okay, fine. Somebody in the comments, or you guys, I thought that Steinman and Meatloaf and others were going to make a Broadway play of their music, not just that album, but of all of Steinman's stuff. And I don't know if that ever came to fruition, but if it didn't, I have no idea why, because I mean, that stuff just lends itself to all of that. And that's why, I think that's why partly it was Meatloaf, is he never even, I thought I read somewhere or saw in an article or an interview, he never considered himself a rock star. He considered himself an actor and a stage actor. It just happened to be, he sang on a bunch of albums that should have been plays and are part of that. So, but yeah, I don't know if that ever came to fruition, and it'd be nice if it would be nice if it ever did, because I sure as hell would go and see it. So
I would too. Okay, my turn. I also have The Wall. I like it. I don't have a Pink Floyd favorite album. I like them, and that's where it ends. I went as far away from Pink Floyd as you could possibly get. And when I saw this connection, I went, this is perfect. Hopefully nobody tunes out, but I've just, the idea is we're trying to, cast a wide net here. So I went as far, far, far away from The Wall as you could possibly get. To Taylor Swift. How did I get here? Well, The Wall was produced by Bob Ezrin. And this album was mixed by him.
there you go.
This is her live album. It's called Speak Now World Tour Live. Was never issued on vinyl. Why do I have it on vinyl? Because this is an unauthorized release. It was only available on CD. But so my connection to The Wall is a Bob Ezrin produced The Wall and mixed World Tour Live. There you go. That's as far away from Pink Floyd as I think you could probably get.
That's pretty far.
I knew you. I know you replied and said that was your match, and I wasn't sure exactly where you were going, but there you go. That's good. That's good.
Well, because I always start by you pull up the Wikipedia page on an album, where was it recorded and who played on and who produced it, and I'm like, I seem to remember, and I'm like, well, that's a strange connection. Who would have thought? So,
I had an alternate to this in case. I didn't know who was going to go first, so I was going to show this as my connection with Pink Floyd.
Oh, that's pretty far afoot as well.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah.
What's the
Neil did backup vocals, background vocals on a lot of the songs, and is credited inside that gatefold. So it's like Captain Neil, Pink Floyd.
Well, there you go. That's awesome. I had no idea. Because I didn't go looking for anything this time. I just bothered to pick them. So I didn't go and try and find connections myself. So that's great.
Alex is saying his creative answer would have been Boomtown Rat since Geldof played Pink in the Wall movie. Yeah, that's a good connection. Sure, absolutely. Well, and this was what I was going for, Chris. How can you go from Pink Floyd to Taylor Swift? Well, there you go, right? So trying to mix it up a little bit. Just for shits and giggles, as they say. I should have welcomed Ryan is here. How you doing? And Psycho's Platters, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. Ryan says he listens to Division Bell quite often. High Hopes is a great song. Chris wants to know if you're listening to Jesus Christ Superstar while cooking nude. I don't know why he wants to know that, but
I should throw that on in class tomorrow.
The only meatloaf you'll find in John's house is located in his kitchen. The only meatloaf you'll find in my house is right over there, because meatloaf I wouldn't feed to a starving dog.
If I remember,
I don't even like dogs, so ugh, I wouldn't eat that shit.
if I remember correctly, John's got the alternate version of the wall, the live one that Waters did in Berlin with Bryan Adams and Van Morrison and Sinead, and
Yep. No Steinman play Rock and Roll Dreams Don't Come Through.
Yeah, and like I said, I just thought that'd be a no-brainer. They tried so many different things. Green Day had American Idiot and all of that. I mean, it was built to become a Broadway play in the 90s and the 2000s, but oh well.
There you go. Okay. What do you have for your second pick, Joe?
Up next, we're going to go down under. And
or down under, as some people say.
I've shown this one lots, but it's another favorite, including the band. Like this is, I don't know if this is even my favorite album by them. Not necessarily. It just happened to be the one that I picked, but I am really a big NXS fan. I'm pissed off at Michael Hutchence because he did what he did. It's one of those, and we've talked about that before. But I really like these guys. They were always good. It was dancey-ish, kind of. I mean, it was certainly pop music for the most part, but a little bit alternative at times. And then they'd throw the saxophone in there for good measure as well, like a lot on this album, especially. But even back to the early stuff, Don't Change and all that's good stuff. So there you go. From Down Under, Michael Hutchence and the rest of the boys in NXS and Kick, because I'm not sure if you're going to match up to the band or to the album, but there you go. Kick. And I'll leave it here. This is what we're working on.
Okay. Richard.
Well, this is one that I do happen to have, and I do like this a lot. I'm going to say that nowadays, I think they did a reissue of this, but this is like an OG. It's hard to find.
Yep. My wife's got one upstairs.
You didn't show the gatefold, did you? Shame on you.
Oh, man. No, this one's not. This isn't a gatefold. So there you go. Yeah, no, this one's not a gatefold. So
yeah, Kit, like giant, huge ass letters. Yeah, I had to dig deep a little bit more with this one, so I went with producer on this one. So NXS's Kick was produced by Chris Thomas, who apparently is hugely well-known producer, produced Procol Harum, Dark Side of the Moon, where he had like his fingers were in on Dark Side of the Moon. What else? Paul McCartney, everything. But for my money, he produced Pete Townshend's Empty Glass album, which is probably my favorite of the solo Pete Townshend's. Just for all of the singles out of this was Let My Love Open the Door. But this is solid from start to finish with a couple of like clunker exceptions. I was talking with Sam on Instagram. We were chatting back and forth, and he had picked this up recently on Amazon for cheap. So I dived in Amazon to see if it was the reissue that was a half-speed master. And of course it wasn't. It was a different one. But it's like, oh, put it in your cart because the price comes down. I'm like, okay, I will. This one is battered to hell because I played the living crap out of it. Oh, it's fine. This is such a good album. But yeah, so produced by Chris Thomas, who produced all kinds of people.
Cool.
That's my connection.
All right.
I recently got my hands on a copy of that one. It's beat up too, but it is a good album.
It's a really good album.
Probably one of his most famous songs is on there too.
Well, and starting off with Guns in the Sky, which is that's an opener, tour de force, and then New Sensation was absolutely huge. Devil Inside was huge. Need You Tonight was huge. It had 7 singles off.
Yeah, it was a hit machine for sure. Did you ever see them live? I saw them forever ago, when on this tour. Really good. Not bombastic like a lot of the stuff I tend to go to. Well, not necessarily, but they were very good. Steel Pulse opened for them, which was interesting. Yeah, it was okay. It was good. So
okay, Daryl.
Okay, well, Richard, you mentioned how many hits were actually singles were released off that NXS album. So it's kind of where I'm going with my connection. So according to what I've read, the Kick album has been certified 6 times platinum since its release. And there were 5 singles that were released from that album, of which 4 of them went top 10. And so my connection is, can anybody name an album that was released about, I'd like to say 4 or 5 years previous to this, that also had 4 top 10 singles on it?
Not Pyromania, Hysteria is my guess.
My guess would be the Cars debut album, but I think that was before that.
Nope.
No idea.
It's actually a musician that Rob neither dislikes nor likes, and it's an album that Rob neither dislikes nor likes.
Oh, Pink Floyd.
No, that's a good one though.
Because I just said I neither like them nor dislike them. So
Michael Jackson's Thriller released 4 top 10 hits. And so my connection is, like, if you think about the fact that Thriller had 4 top 10 hits, and then NXS's Kick, which is a completely different style and genre of music, also had 4 top 10 hits, that's incredible. And you think about the top 10 hits on this one: PYT, Thriller, Beat It, Billie Jean, Human Nature. That's just a crazy list of songs. And I got to do it because
Got to show the gate.
Michael Jackson and the what is that? A little tiger? The heck is that?
Yes.
Yeah, it is a little tiger, eh? But no, this was actually, out of all the ones that you sent us, NXS was the trickiest one for me. But once I kind of made that connection, I was like, that is incredible. How many top 10 singles is on that Kick album? And not only that, they're kick-ass. The only single that didn't go top 10 is Mystify, and even that one is an amazing track.
Yeah, it's just an overall. It's all the deep cuts, even like Tiny Daggers. The last song on the album is fantastic. So, was the little tiger at the photo shoot already, or did they bring a tiger along? Is my question. That's something we need to find. Inquiring minds need to know.
They wanted to make the monkey jealous.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, so no, that, like I said, it was tricky, but once I got that little bit of info there, 4 top 10 hits spawned on both albums.
Good one. Okay. My response, I thought one of you guys was going to pick because I thought everyone knew about this one. I'm going to show it first and see. Joe might be the only one that knows the connection here because he's a fan. You know the connection, Joe?
I don't. I should, but I don't.
Really? Okay.
No.
There is a song off here, which was a single. Stuck in a Moment You Can't Get Out Of. You know that song? That was the second single. The lead single off here is Beautiful Day. The follow-up single was Stuck in a Moment You Can't Get Out Of. Bono was friends with Michael Hutchence. And when Michael Hutchence died, Bono wrote this song in honor of Michael Hutchence.
Yeah, you've said that before. Yeah.
So one of my favorite U2, one of my absolute favorite U2 songs. So love it.
They keep saying, honestly, not just Bono, but even the Edge is saying there is new music coming.
Yeah.
Bono will always say that. But when the Edge says it, I think that gives it a little more credibility because he's going to write most of, if not all of it, right? So, and Larry, obviously, but
I heard the other day, I can't remember where I read it, that they were going to put it out this year, but as soon as Oasis decided to tour, U2 said, you know what, we'll let them have 2025 because we can't compete with that. We'll put the album out next year. That's what I read. I don't know the level of truth in that, but yeah.
Cool. Well, there you go.
What's Chris saying? He's going to piss me off. I seriously think that's one of the greatest albums U2 have ever made. Why would that piss me off? I absolutely love that record.
I don't know why that would piss him off. Yeah. Wasn't quite sure on that.
If you said something like Europa was the greatest U2 record ever, I would say you're wrong. But I absolutely love this record. My only complaint about this record is I think the track listing could have been mixed around a little differently because the album starts out so strong And by the time you get to the last couple songs, the momentum of the album, the energy just the album kind of peters out. So I wish they would have, maybe mixed the tracks around a little different. But other than that, I absolutely love this record. It's got some of their best songs on it. Kite, Peace on Earth, Wild Honey, love it. Fantastic record.
That was a really good tour too. I saw them. I think I saw them twice on that tour.
I saw them once. That was the first time I ever saw them, and it was amazing. So.
The Bono thing on Apple, I think, is Friday that we have talked about before. I think it comes out on Friday. So,
yeah, I don't think I'll be buying the little 45 that with the 3 songs on it because the price on it's pretty stupid.
Yep, but I'll be watching it. I think it'll be good. So,
yeah, I'll watch it too.
They've had some clips. It's him. He's still singing with some different backup singers and things like that. It'll be good. So, yeah.
Okay. We're all caught up on comments. So we're going to go around 3 here.
Okay.
We're flying here tonight.
And I'm not sure where Rob's going to go with this one. I know the other 2 are not necessarily not fans, but are maybe fans. You know what? I don't know. Richard, are you a fan of the Tragically Hip? Have you listened to? I mean, not to single out the American in the house, but
I used to have a Tragically Hip CD, not this one.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what it was. So I'm familiar with. I can't say that I'm a fan of, but
you don't need to be. You don't need to be.
Okay, this was a tricky one because I don't have this album, but
I'm sure it will be interesting what you guys found. Okay, and the rule, of course, we've got now is to show the gatefold. The gatefold is just a bunch of pictures of the band in really weird circumstances or whatever, and lyrics, etc. And then that's the back. So there you go, boys. Up to you. Fully completely by the Tragically Hip. So you can either, I don't know if you're working off the band or you're working off the album again.
Okay.
Or the artwork. I wonder if anybody went with the artwork. Can kind of see it.
Well, I could have
went with a little hashtag dummies for that one.
Well, my connection was this is one of the ones I had to research. I will say, like going through this, there were a few that I don't have that I had to like really dig and do some hunting. I felt like I was in grad school doing my thesis. But anyway, I came up with looking at the day of release for this one. So this was released on August 6th of 1992. So looked into, hey, were there some interesting albums that were released that I own, which is the hardest part. Turns out I don't have this one on vinyl, but whoops, sorry. REM's Automatic for the People was released on the same day as that Tragically Hip album.
There you go.
And it's a fantastic, fantastic, fantastic album, which I'm actually surprised I don't have on vinyl yet because it has Drive on it. It has like half of the Night Swimmer, Man on the Moon, Everybody Hurts. So it's like 4 singles off of this and then some.
Night Swimming is an amazing song.
Night Swimming is a fantastic song. First time I saw REM was I was at the Tibetan Freedom Festival when I lived in Washington, D.C. This is far back enough to remember that I remember they had a lightning strike that actually hit somebody in the stadium and they kind of shut the whole thing down. So I can't remember. I don't think they even held the second day out of respect for something, but yeah. And then another time I saw REM was later on at the Fillmore here in Denver, which is a 1,000-ish, maybe 1,500 seater. I also saw Bowie at the Fillmore. So yeah, I've seen REM a couple of times. Yay.
Awesome. Now, with that said, I don't know if it's the month or further ago time that they got together and played, or if there was in fact another time more recently, like in the last 2 weeks, that REM have played. I know they played about 2 months ago.
They played about a week or 2 ago.
But they played again, and all of them, right? Yeah. So, I mean, for the band that says never again, they're doing those couple of little things. I mean, it still probably means never again, but you never know. You never know. As Dumb and Dumber said, so you're saying that there's a chance.
Aren't the tragedy? Well, listen, Chris, I would never say anything ill of Gord Downey because he is a national treasure in Canada. He's also passed away. But I like his voice like I like Bob Dylan's. So let's say that. And that is incredibly un-Canadian of me. And for someone who talks way too much about Canadian music, I know that's kind of an oxymoron. But and
we like what we like, and we like what we like. That's the thing. We talk about these guys a little bit from time to time, but then we don't talk about them all that much either. So anyway, Daryl's going to tell us where he's going to go.
So to wrap this up, Chris is saying he's got REM's greatest hits on vinyl. This is funny because pretty much everything Chris owns is a greatest hit.
It's a greatest.
And so on the live stream on Sunday, Rob Walker and I were checking some shit at Chris because all he has is greatest hits. He saw REM with 80,000 people. Wow. Cool. Okay, Daryl, this one will be an easy one for you, I'm guessing.
This one was an easy one, but I mean, the easy connection is I just connected it to another Canadian musician, but that's just cheating. So what I'm going to do for my connection is on that album, and if you want to know if I like the Tragically Hip or not, just watch my most recent video. You'll find out. But there's a song on that album called 50 Mission Cap. And if you are not familiar with 50 Mission Cap, there was a
and you're not Canadian.
And you're not Canadian. There was a defenseman on the Toronto Maple Leafs by the name of Bill Barilko who scored the Stanley Cup winning goal. And then that summer, he died in a plane crash. In fact, about an hour from where I live here. And then it wasn't until 1962 that they found the plane, the wreckage. And that was the next time that the Leafs won the Stanley Cup. So that song is kind of based on that whole scenario. And so with my Canadian musician connection, I figured why not throw a hockey song connection and go with some Stompin' Tom.
Oh,
awesome.
And not only that, but look at that Toronto Maple Leaf jersey right there to make the other connection to Bill Barilko. So
I like the other jerseys better.
Yes, that is true. The Montreal Canadiens.
Vive les habitants.
But yeah, no, the hockey song, I mean, Stompin' Tom, if you're not familiar with Stompin' Tom, he's kind of Canada's cowboy from the 60s and 70s. Not folk, but kind of more country.
He's country. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, just classic Canadian country. He was a big supporter of hockey and sports and just everything Canadian. I think we talked about this on a previous show. I mean, he wrote a song and sang a song about potatoes.
Yep.
Right. A potato named Bud the Spud. So I mean, that says everything you need to know. He's got, another song that I have on a different album. He's got a song called Backyardin', and the whole lyrics just talk about chit-chatting in the garden over a barbecue and a friend or two with a beer in your hand. Just simple songs, but he keeps it real from the Canadian perspective.
They're awesome. I don't think there's anyone that typifies the Canadian experience more than him. He's great. And I, to this day, have never seen a Stompin' Tom record. And the day I find one, I got to get it because he's awesome. Even if you don't like country music, he's awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome. Okay. My connection to the Tragically Hip that I love so much. I own no Tragically Hip. I could have gone the easy way because my good friend Bob played with the Tragically Hip. He's on the Phantom Power album, but I didn't go that way. I went this way. The Skydiggers, who are a folk rock band from Toronto, been around forever and ever and ever. They have multiple connections to the Tragically Hip. The Tragically Hip have a recording studio in Bath, Ontario, which is just west of Kingston. And the Skydiggers have recorded several albums in Bath. This is not one of them. I have a couple on CD, but I don't have any on vinyl, and I don't show CDs. So that's one connection. But more directly, the Skydiggers, it's been sort of an evolving lineup over the years, but it's always been Andy Mays and Josh Finlayson since 1987. And Josh Finlayson, who's the guitar player, has done a lot of work with Gord Downie. Gord Downie had a side project called Strippers Union. And I don't know if Josh plays on the Strippers Union album, but when Strippers Union went out on the road, Josh played guitar for Strippers Union with Gord Downie. So my connection to the Tragically Hip is the Skydiggers, who are much better.
Okie doke then.
And no one's saying anything in the comments. So,
Oh, man.
So I'll do this. I'll just put my StreamYard referral link up here instead. There you go. See, put this on the screen like that. Woo!
Bear with me for a second here. I want to show you. I want to show everybody something quick. Hold on. Not that.
Save that for your OnlyFans, Joe.
He said not that. Please hold. This is Rob. You can put that up if you can.
I can.
In Mattawa, Ontario, if you're ever going east coast to west coast, actually, I was coming back from Ottawa. Anyway, in Mattawa, Ontario, that's Big Joe Muffero, which is also another song by Stompin' Tom Connors. So if you're ever out and you stop at roadside attractions like I do, I have a whole friggin' Facebook gallery of roadside attractions and all that stuff. I love stopping at things like that. But there's in Mattawa, that's the Big Joe Muffero statue. So, yeah. Stompin' Tom also had a song, Big Joe Muffero, because he was like a Quebec woodsman and one of those guys.
And if Richard wasn't here keeping score, like if he wasn't here, he'd be keeping score tonight, and he'd have to write this down because Mattawa is also the name of a Blue Rodeo song.
There you go. See?
Okay, before it gets too late, because Chris has got to go to bed soon because it's middle of the night in Wales. Any recommendations, Joe, on music documentaries?
What did I watch the other night? Damn it. I'm going to have to think about it. I think I did watch something. What the hell was it? I don't know. Can't remember. So maybe it wasn't that good. Maybe I can't recommend it. I don't know, but I'll come up with it. Maybe. So we'll keep going and then I'll think about it. So,
okay. All right. Joe, that's you.
All right. Okay. Tragically Hip. I don't know if maybe it wasn't a music one. I'll think of something. I'll email you if I think of it. All right. Up next is a little punk music, and it's going to come up. Punk's going to come up a couple of times. I wasn't quite full blown, in my face kind of a punk guy, but I liked punk. It went along well with the rock and roll that I listened to. And I don't know if there's much more of a genre defining album when it comes to punk and this album, but Sex Pistols and Nevermind the Bollocks. This is a reissue. I think the originals were yellow. Were they not, Richard? I don't know. You might remember. I can't remember if the original UKs were yellow, but
I think there was a UK one and the US one. The OG. I don't have the OG of that one, but I think the US was that pink and green, and then the UK was yellow and pink or something.
This is a reissue done by the good folks at Rhino Records, who actually do a really good job of their reissues when they do them. Like I said, if you're looking for a punk album and you need somewhere to start, there's this one or the other one that's coming up in a couple minutes. But we'll start with the Sex Pistols and see where you guys went with that. Again, whether you went with the band or you went with the album or what you went with. So there you go. There it is.
Okay. Richard.
Well, ironically, I don't have an OG of that album, but I do have the Record Store Day picture disc version that came out a few years ago. And I figured, well, you know what? If I'm going to get it, might as well get it. So I got it. I am not a huge fan of this album, but I have quasi respect for Johnny Rotten. And most of the projects he's done since then. Politically, I don't have a whole lot of respect for him. But anyway, that said, I could have talked about Public Image Limited and other projects he's done, but I went with kind of an obscure one. Anyone heard of Golden Palomino's Visions of Excess album? This came out in 84, I think. 85. I'm wrong. So the Golden Palominos are kind of like an experimental band-ish, but they're pretty mainstream as far as like alt rock goes. Headed by drummer, percussionist Anton Fear. And what he tends to do is like put his band up with different vocalists doing different songs throughout most of their albums. And Johnny Rotten, John Lydon by that time, was featured on a song called The Animal Speaks, where he did vocals. It's a great song. But the neat thing about this is that Michael Stipe of REM does vocals on 3 songs, and the song Boy was kind of a semi-rotation MTV 120 minutes type song that came up a lot. That's how I found out about this album. So it was more that I got it for the Michael Stipe songs and then stayed for the John Lydon songs. But who else is on here? Chris Stamey from the DBs, Richard Thompson's on here, Sid Straw. They had kind of a
Pretty good.
Yeah, great album. So if you ever happen to be flipping through a used section and go, Golden Palominos, I've heard of that one. Get it. Visions of Excess. It's a fantastic album.
All right. Chris, good night, sir, man. Have a good evening, good sleep, whatever, and we'll catch you on Sunday, man.
Yeah, night, Chris. If I think of that, I'll let you know, because I think I did watch something, but I can't think of it right now. So
okay. All right, Daryl.
All right. So this is one of those situations where I learned quite a bit about an album because I'm not overly familiar with that Sex Pistols album, but I mean, Anarchy in the UK is, if I'm going to classify my favorite song by the Sex Pistols, is definitely going to be that. But there was a story, or pretty much witnessed apparently, that there was another album that was kind of being recorded at the same time, and I think the same studio, and Sid Vicious came across a member of the band Queen, and he had some choice words for Freddie Mercury during the recording session, and I've got it here. But basically, Vicious aimed an insult at lead singer Freddie Mercury by saying, "Have you brought ballet to the masses yet?" In which Mercury got up and responded, "Aren't you Simon Ferocious or something? What are you going to do about it?" And it turned into some big thing. And then later on, I guess Johnny Rotten crawled across the floor on all fours. And anyway, they didn't like each other. So the album that was being recorded by Queen at that time is News of the World. And so that is my connection. And of course, this is the gatefold that goes up and down. So that's a pretty cool one.
Yep. I think that one might have been the impetus of you have to show the gatefold, I think, because I wanted to see that, and that just became the rule. I think it was the last time you showed that one. So,
but yeah, I mean, I never would have even thought that the Sex Pistols and Queen would have even remotely come close to each other, unless it was some random concert, like a Woodstock concert or something. But just the fact that they were in the same studio and Mercury and Sid Vicious almost came to blows is a pretty cool connection, if I say so. So I learned something for sure on that one. That was pretty neat. So yes, Queen's News of the World and the infamous, apparently, Sid Vicious and Freddie Mercury altercation.
Okay. I almost showed the same one. I don't have News of the World, so that's why I didn't show it. So okay. So mine surprised the hell out of me, because my connection is the Beatles' White Album. I mean, now I don't know everything about the Beatles, but yeah, I can pretty much guarantee I know more than most folks. But I didn't know any of this. So here's the connection, because you're kind of going Sex Pistols and the Beatles. That Pistols album was produced by a producer named Chris Thomas. Never heard of him. He also produced the Beatles. And I went, but George Martin's their producer. Like, George Martin did everything. So when Chris Thomas was trying to get his start he wrote to George Martin asking for a job. And so he was kind of like George Martin's intern, if you will. And he sort of assisted George Martin on some Hollies recordings. And then George Martin brought him in to work on the Beatles stuff. And at that time, it was the White Album. And the interesting story is when they were doing the White Album, Chris went away on holidays for a week. And when he got back, went into Abbey Road Studios, or no, I guess that was at Twickenham, wherever it was. Went into the studio, went into his office, and there was a note on his desk from George Martin. Hope you enjoyed your holidays. I'm on mine now. Make yourself available to the Beatles this week. And so, no pressure, right? So he is uncredited on the White Album, which is not fair, but that is what it is. So in addition to co-producing and actually producing a few of the songs, he plays piano on 4 of the songs. He plays harpsichord on Piggies. He plays mellotron on The Continuing Story of Bungalow Bill. Plays piano on Long, 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 and electric piano on Savoy Truffle.
Wow.
There's a lot of uncredited performances on the White Album. So I had no idea of any of that. To me, it was just George Martin. That's it. Well, no. He had a young man helping him named Chris Thomas who would produce the Sex Pistols. So I learned something about the Beatles today. So should I show the inside of this gatefold?
Yep.
I mean, everyone knows it.
Maybe you don't know. There could be people watching that have never seen the inside of the White Album. Maybe they just think it's white. And there's the white version of the White Album.
This is a 1976 Canadian press. So there you go. Okay.
Awesome. Good stuff, boys.
Comments are quiet tonight now that Chris has gone to bed. Oh, well, it's because John's eating. So there you go.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about Billy Joel yet. So
Yeah, unfortunately, Billy had to cancel all his shows.
I know.
He's got some health issues, so he had to cancel everything.
Yeah, I read about that.
Yeah, something in the brain, I believe. So
Yeah.
it's too bad.
Maybe that's why John's quiet, because he's distraught.
Maybe that's right.
John, we'd give you a hug if we could.
That's right. Exactly. We care about who you care about around here. We do.
Exactly. Okay, now that I've put that away, it's Joe's turn.
All right. I don't know if we're halfway through, but we're getting there. We're doing all right.
Getting there.
Exactly. All right, we're going to come back with a little Canuck music here this time. And one of my favorite Canadians, who's now in the band Styx, but this is when he was on his own, and it's Lawrence Gowan, otherwise known as just Gowan.
Show that gatefold, Joe. Show that gatefold.
I am. Look at this. Look at that. There you go. There's Larry and all his puffy hair perfectness and all the glamour shots down on the bottom. That might fall into the category of, we're going to put this on the inside of the album, right? And he went, yep, that's okay. So, yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah. And then obviously some lyrics in that, but Lawrence Gowan from, is he Montreal? I think he's Quebec somewhere, is he not?
Montreal.
Yeah. And really good. And now is doing the Dennis DeYoung part of Styx. He is the keyboard player in Styx. He's the vocalist for the songs that were Dennis's, and does a great job. I saw that rendition of Styx, and I've seen Larry on his own as well. So just really good stuff. So there you go. Strange Animal is the name of the album. So I don't know where you guys are going, if you're going off Larry or if you're going off the album, but there you go.
Okay. Richard. Wow, I saw something.
Well, I don't own any Gowan, but I know.
Thank goodness for that.
I have seen him. I saw him like Joe did with Styx a few years back. Great performer. I'm also familiar with him because a lot of those albums would filter down from Canada into North Dakota land. And I would be like, who is this Gowan guy? And it'd be like, no, he had like several solo albums. Anyway, my connection for this one is having to dig deep and figured out that album, Strange Animals, was recorded at Startling Studios, which
sure. Take my pick, man.
Sorry. I might even pick the same response to this too. We'll find out. Owned by Ringo Starr, and what became the cover photo for the Hey Jude album, along with the back photo, which is that very location. Then it was something else. It was not
Tittenhurst Park,
Thank you.
which was John Lennon's house. It was John Lennon's house.
Yeah.
So if you've seen the video for Imagine where he's in the white room playing the piano, that's Tittenhurst Park, and then he sold it to Ringo. Yep.
So good album. I have this framed on my wall in a different room, but this is another copy that I found that was actually in better shape. So this is my player copy.
Cool.
Okay, Daryl, take a long time so I can come up with another pick then.
Can find something different. Yeah.
All right. Well, so that particular Gowan album, that's my favorite Gowan album for sure. I've talked about this before. A Criminal Mind is probably my favorite Gowan song by a mile. And the other two singles off of that, Strange Animal, and I think Cosmetics is the other single that was on there. I mean, those Cosmetics, but Strange Animal is a fantastic song. In fact, to the point where that album was nominated for Juno Album of the Year, I do believe it was. And what year is that? 85? 85, I think it is. 86.
This is from 1985.
So 85. Yeah. So it was nominated for Album of the Year, and it came close to winning. So if you're not sure of what the Junos were, the Juno Awards is kind of Canada's version, I guess, of the Grammys for Album of the Year. But does anybody know which album beat out that Gowan album?
Geez, I hope it's not the Parachute Club, because that would be wrong.
This is going to be my connection.
I don't know.
This particular musician is also from Montreal.
Oh, Gina Vanelli.
Nope. Good guess, though.
Leonard Cohen.
Or what's her name? The Bye Bye Mon Cowboy chick?
He was the he would be like Canada's like chick magnet guy.
I was going to say Pagliaro, but that doesn't.
I wasn't alive then.
Yeah.
Or no, maybe I was. I don't know.
Corey Hart's Boy in the Box. That's my connection. Is Boy in the Box beat out Gowan for Record of the Year in Canada, and so this is the one that has Never Surrender on it, which is a good song. I mean, that's a great song, and I can't remember if there's anything else on here. It's been a while since I've listened to this one. Everything in My Heart. That's the other one. So he was like Canada's heartthrob in the 1980s, but I don't know if he's still touring. I would assume.
Oh yeah, he's still out there. He's still touring. He's got groupies that follow him city to city, and they're called like the Heartthrobs or some stupid name.
I have his three main albums from the 1980s, and that's about all I need from Corey Hart.
One would argue that's more.
I'm not ashamed to say it. I don't mind him. He's all right. He's all right. But I can't believe that he won Record of the Year and Gowan didn't. But hey,
that winning Record of the Year over that is like Jethro Tull beating out Metallica for, as I look at your shirt, for beating out Heavy Metal Act in 1989. But that's the Grammys and the Junos, I suppose. But and I don't hate Corey Hart either. He's half of what my radio name was, right? And the first album is good. If it was the first album versus this, maybe a little bit more so, but I don't think that album versus this one. Anyway, Rob, I think you were going to diss Corey Hart in some way, shape, or form.
No, I would never diss another artist. No, I wouldn't.
Okay. All right. Okay. No, just checking.
Okay. So I was going to show this, Ringo's album Ringo, which was the closest we ever came to a Beatles reunion because 3 of the 4 of them play on this record. It's actually pretty good. That's what I was going to show, but Richard stole my answer.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something better because that's Ringo's too easy. So apparently, that Gowan album was produced by a guy named David Tickle.
Yes, it was.
No idea who the hell David Tickle is, but a quick Wikipedia search tells me that he also produced this album that I love, Barney Bentall and the Legendary Hearts. Self-titled album from 1988. these guys are awesome. They were a working man's rock and roll in the Canadian version of like Mellencamp and Springsteen. Would that kind of be a fair assessment, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
for
good.
sure.
Yeah. It's fantastic. I'm that is an artist I am generally surprised that did not do better moving forward.
Right.
And I
So-
guess I shouldn't say better, but didn't have more success.
This had his biggest hit on here, which was Something to Live For.
Yeah, that's a great song.
And then he had a couple hits later on, but this was his best album. I've never seen Barney, but I know his son quite well. I mean, I could email him now and he'd probably answer me in the next hour. So I've met his son many, many times, and good dude. His son is Dustin Bentall, who I've talked about a lot. He's a musician as well. But yeah, a great late 80s Canadian heartland rock and roll kind of deal. So, yeah, Barney Bentall and the Legendary Hearts, who are still going. Barney Bentall tours sometimes with the Legendary Hearts, and he tours in the winters with another sort of folkier roots band called the Grand Caribou Opry. So,
Saw him forever ago in a cabaret back in my drinking days, so I don't remember a whole bunch of it, but I remember seeing him. So, and it was good. And that is a great album. That's a fantastic album, actually.
yeah, I like it. It's probably his best. The one that came after it is really good too. And then I think the one after was Gin Palace, I think was the second.
Yeah, that sounds
That
great.
had the other hit on it, which I can't remember what the big hit was off there because I'm totally having a brain fart. I could probably go grab it. But yeah, so there you go. I found a solution on the fly there.
Nice. Thinking.
Let's see here. Tim's saying there's a new Styx record. Crown was good. And Alex is saying, yes, sir, Tim. Just got announced today. Available through their website. Full release later in July. That's a long time to wait for full release. I'm here all night, folks. Tim said, when I saw Gowan this winter, he sat next to me in an open seat while performing. Tim, you and your stories, man.
Yeah.
We're going to have Tim back real soon because that episode last week was a crazy amount of fun. So
That was so good. I enjoyed
Yeah,
that
good.
live stream so much.
if you had seen the videos that he sent us flipping through all his signed albums, you'd shit a brick, literally.
I'd be
It's
probably
incredible.
crying.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Joe, back to you, man. Oh, I accidentally hit the wrong button. Here we go. Hold on. There we go.
I'm going to remove the album from its beautiful
Oh,
sleeve. Wait for it. Or I'll keep talking. You get it up.
no, keep going, man.
I'm
I'm all good here.
Beautiful sleeve. Like, this has been on this album for a while, and you can tell it's still nice and clear as you look through it, which is what you want for your vinyl, because you want to be able to see the covers nicely. This is a Vinyl Storage Solutions outer 12-inch sleeve. You can get them from vinylstoragesolutions.ca. You can use the promo code Northern10 and get 10% off your order. So again, this one's been on there. It's protected. It's not crystal clear, but that's because it's protected, this album, which is what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to take the heat. It's supposed to take the grief and keep your albums nice and clean. So there you go. vinylstoragesolutions.ca. Use the promo code Northern10. Tell them Joe, Rob, and Richard and Daryl sent you.
Right. And they don't pay us to do this.
don't.
As an affiliate, I only get a very small kickback if you buy something. So
Yeah, and I get nothing, but they are really good. That's
Joe
the
gets
thing.
my eternal gratitude. That's what it is.
Yeah, they are really, really good. That's the thing. So preaching to the choir here, I think, for the most part. All right, so next up, boys, we are going with the Electric Light Orchestra, and of many to choose from, I just happened to choose Discovery. I thought about it, and I don't know why I chose this one. Not because it's a gatefold, but it is a gatefold. And I'm not exactly sure, again, how that came up. I don't know. Jeff Lynne. Okay, so what if we're in the desert and this guy's running away, and he's running away with one of our flying saucers in his hand, and we're chasing him like we're Arabian guys on horses with big swords. Yeah, let's do exactly that. That's perfect. Let's put that on the inside, though. Anyway, it does go with the cover because she's obviously reading the light. And then on the back, there's the guard, and he's just waiting to get his fortune told. So there you go. Take me where you will with Electric Light Orchestra and Discovery. There's a lot of different ways to go, I think, with ELO. So should be.
Okay. Richard.
This is my OG from back in the day.
Very nice.
Played a lot. I love this album. I actually like this one better than Out of the Blue. I'm one of those people. I looked at the track listing on here, and you want to talk about an album that's bookended by two huge hits. Shine a Little Love and Don't Bring Me Down. Boom. Fantastic. But then I looked up and I saw a song called Wishing, and I went, surely somebody else has done a song called Wishing. And who remembers A Flock of Seagulls?
I remember Baby Ran.
Their biggest single off of this one was Wishing. If I had a photograph of you. That one. This one. So that is probably the only decent song, as I recall, off of this album, because this is also my OG, and I pulled it out and it looks brand new. So I'm thinking, yeah, I probably played that song and went, okay, I'm done. Good. So yeah, Wishing on Discovery and wishing that Flock of Seagulls never did Hair Like That. Yeah.
They were on, I don't know if it was on VH1 or MTV or something like that. This was a few years back, maybe 10 or 15 years ago. There was some game show thing that was on there where there were all these 80s former bands that were trying to compete again to see who was the best band of the 80s. And Tiffany was on there, and Flock of Seagulls, and I'm trying to remember his name, Billy Vera and the Beaters, just competing to see who was the best. And you know, he didn't have the hairdo though.
I don't think
he never kept up
hair
with his hairdo. I don't know. Disappointing.
I think he'd fit in on this panel. I think now. I shouldn't say that. Richard's got a fair bit.
I don't know what's worse of a haircut, that or a pompadour. I have no idea. The pompadours were bad. The mullets were terrible.
Yeah, I don't know if he was, the lead singer was like a hairstylist or a hairstylist wannabe, but the one where he had the hair that was, like, I saw that video and I just died.
Prodigy in the 90s, with the hair that kind of goes like
Prodigy,
that.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Holy.
Sorry, fellas, I just had to say goodnight to the kid. I apologize.
All good.
Okay, so Daryl's turn now. Yes.
Okay, so I'm hoping that this choice isn't a cop-out, because it's not meant to be a cop-out. It was the first thing that kind of came to mind, though. So, Richard, you talked about an album that was bookended by two songs. I'm going to go with Don't Bring Me Down. And in the song, there's the line that everybody mistakes for the word Bruce. And he's really using some made-up word, which is, what did he call it? Groose, I think he said.
Groose.
That's just a German word.
Yeah. They said it was the German word with that little funny syllable there. So I was looking up songs that had misheard lyrics. And I did not realize that some people mishear the lyric from Like a Virgin as it. Some people mistake it as, instead of touched for the very first time, they mistake it as touched for the 31st time.
When I was younger, I always thought it was fucked for the very first time. And that's how I still sing it to this day.
So my connection, I hope it's not really a cop-out, but my connection is both of these albums have lyrics that are misheard by people that listen to it over the years. So I thought that was kind of a neat one, and I usually don't show the labels, but I always think that this Sire label is such a neat looking one, and the fact that Ministry and Madonna are on the same label is just crazy to me. But anyway, misheard lyrics on two different albums.
And
that's interesting. It shouldn't be misheard because the lyrics are right on here. So
it's right there. Yeah. Now, am I the only one? Probably. Am I the only one that, as soon as you showed that Madonna, started singing Like a Surgeon by Weird Al? Weird Al just wins over everything if it's a song that's already been covered. anyway, that's just me. But all right, Robert, you're up.
Okay. I mean, I went really easy on this, and I hope I hope you don't look down on me for going easy on this, but from ELO, I went to the Traveling Wilburys.
Of course,
because
yeah.
There's Jeff Lynne right there. But I went a little bit. I didn't show volume 1 that everyone has. I went with volume 3, which not everybody has. It's not as easy to find. It's still out there, but and an album that doesn't get as much love as it should. It's really good. The first one is perfect. So I think this one gets overlooked a lot. This is so amazingly good. You really feel Roy missing, though. That's the only, because Roy Orbison had passed away. And the other thing I was thinking about with this record is they were going to ask Del Shannon to replace Roy Orbison, and then Del died. And you go, man, what could have been if Del Shannon had been a Traveling Wilbury? That would have been incredible. So anyway, the best super group that ever was, I'm going the Traveling Wilburys.
Very nice. I wasn't sure. I thought maybe, Richard, you might go with The Move. Are you familiar with the band The Move? Which was a lot of ELO beforehand, and in fact did their version of Do Ya. We got a couple of their albums in at the shop. I don't have any myself, but I listened to it. It changes a little bit by the time ELO gets around to it. They add a little bit more to it, and I think arguably there might not be the Wilburys if it's not for Jeff Lynne. Wasn't he kind of the impetus, like him and Petty hanging out? Rob, wasn't that kind of part of the deal? Was Lynne and Petty starting to get together, working on Full Moon Fever, I think, and then hey, George is coming over today, and then there's this Dylan guy that's coming over and stuff. I think so. Lynne might have been the glue of the Wilburys, maybe, or the reason for, which is awesome. Thank you very much for that. So.
There are 2 times I will tolerate Dylan, John. 1 is the Wilburys, and 2 is the stuff he does with the band. It still sounds like he's dragging his asshole across the cheese grater, but
yep. I know what it was when I was trying to think of the documentary that I watched. It had nothing to do with music. It was actually Paul Rubens, the Pee Wee Herman stuff. So it was good. I enjoyed it. I watched it. So. It's just I got to get, when I actually think of things at my advanced age, I have to say them out loud, or I would have then went, okay, I thought of it. Now what the hell was it again? So that's nothing to do with music. So anyway, good job on the ELO.
Tim saying Tweeter and the Monkey Man from the first record is the best Wilburys song. I don't know. There's a lot of good ones.
I might not disagree with that statement.
I mean, it's great, but then you've also got like End of the Line, Headed for the Light, Handle with Care.
Headstones do a pretty kick-ass job of that song,
too. They do. Yeah.
They do.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Yep. Okay. We'll go around again. Joe.
All right. Next. Oh, yes. Next. I don't know where you guys went. I'm interested to see where you guys went. In honor of our special guest last week, that's why I thought of this. Actually, I had written it down. I had written down my list a while ago, and then Daryl went. But anyway, without further ado, it is the Bay City Rollers. We've got a little tartan to work with. We've got boy band to work with, kind of. They played their instruments. I'm not getting into that. We've got a lot of different ways that you could go with this one again. And this has the big hit on it. That's why I chose this one. So let's see where you go with the Bay City Rollers. And what is this album called anyway? I don't even know what this is called. It's just self-titled. Yeah, that's why I didn't know what it was called. The other 18 of them are over in that box over there. The other 18 Bay City Rollers. Almost. Wow. You know what she doesn't have? She doesn't have the latter ones, which were a lot more glam rock-ish than this stuff was. And I mean, arguably this stuff was kind of glam too, if you would have picked up the beat just a little bit and thrown some more drums at it. But anyway, let's see where you guys go. I'll shut the hell up.
Okay. All right. Well, knowing full well, this is one of my sister's albums that I'm just kind of like, I'm not even touching that with a 10-foot pole. Bay City Rollers were not my thing. Shockingly, I do not own this album, but I had to dig deep on this one. This is the deepest connection I have tonight. So I looked at who is in the band and what they do. So then I found out that 2 brothers that are in the band. So we have Alan Longyear and Derek Longyear. One plays bass and one plays drums. And I have another band where two brothers, one plays bass and one plays drums. And it's my favorite Scottish band on the planet at the moment. It's Biffy Clyro. And there are 3-piece, sometimes a 4-piece, sometimes a 5-piece, depending on what they're doing at the time. This is their latest one called The Celebration of Endings. And they're in the studio doing a new album as we speak. And I am so excited. But anyway, the brothers, I think they're twins. And on bass is James Johnston. And on drums is Ben Johnston. And yes, I have a gatefold, so I got to show it.
That's right.
Here they are. This is the drummer. This is the bassist. He's the lead singer. They tend not to wear very many clothes on stage because they're always shirtless and sweating a lot because they're very energetic. Kind of math rock, alt out there. I have every single album and almost all their singles and every CD they ever put out since like 2002, I think, when they first formed. But yeah. So that's a connection. Two brothers in the band that play the same instruments in two different bands on different albums.
I am only familiar with those guys in name because a buddy of mine, Alex, it just loves them. Like has traveled to see them numerous times. And
So have
just,
I. I went all the way to England to see them.
Yeah, he didn't go that far, but I don't know why. I don't. If people recommend me music, I don't not listen to it for any other reason than I'm just a dumbass sometimes. But I really should listen to because he loves them, and obviously I trust in your taste as well. Not that I didn't trust in his, but I'm gonna have to at least give it a YouTube shot, listen to some stuff or some Spotify, and then go from there. But good choice.
Thank you.
Okay, Daryl, where'd you go with it?
Well, I kind of went an easy route. So for some reason, this is why I went with this one. So it's my mistake. But for some reason, I thought that the lead track on that album was Saturday Night. But now I'm looking at it. It's definitely not the lead track. So anyway, my connection was going to be the lead track on this album is also called Saturday Night, but it's a different Saturday Night. Initially, I thought that I had a 12-inch single by Wigfield. I thought I had another Saturday Night by Wigfield, which would have been a pretty cool connection just based on the song name. However, back to my original one. So lead singer from the Babies, Bad English, went solo, and the lead-off track to John Waite's, what's the name of this album? No Breaks, is actually called Saturday Night. So not exactly my most creative method here, but hey, there you go. Another Saturday Night on here, definitely not the same song, but for some reason I thought that the lead-off track to the Bay City Rollers one was Saturday Night, so it's my bad. That would have been a good connection had I.
Sure,
we'll still accept it. It's still good. It still
counts. I don't know if just a quick 4-person poll. More songs written about Fridays or more songs written about Saturdays? I think there's almost every day for sure, but I think more written about Saturday. I can think of more from Saturdays.
Maybe
I like Manic Monday because it's Susanna Hoffs.
I know you do. Did you notice that she went out with Michael J. Fox for a while?
I did not know that.
Yeah,
really?
I saw something the other day where they went out, and just because of his Parkinson's, he has some long-term memory loss. And he remembers being with her, but he doesn't remember much of the time of being with her. So that might be the biggest thing of all, right? So
there's certain things I'd want to remember about that.
Yeah, I know. That's why I thought of it. So, but yeah,
I did watch a Watch Mojo episode the other day that Rebecca Black's Friday is considered the second worst song ever written.
Are you going to say that they're saying that that's not as bad as We Built the City on Rock and Roll? Because that's fucking bullshit. It should be the other way around.
No.
Because We Built the City on Rock and Roll is a goddamn good song. And anyone who doesn't think so is wrong.
I'm good with being wrong. I don't care.
Okay.
I
guess it's my turn now, yeah?
It is your turn, yes.
Okay. All right. Bear with me as we wander down a garden path to connect the dots on this one. But we're going to get to the Beach Boys here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you told me about this one, right? Not
Okay.
how you got there, though.
To make sure that I have my notes correct. So on the Bay City Rollers self-titled album, there is a song called Be My Baby, which was written by Phil Spector. Okay. It was written for the Ronettes, and they made a giant hit out of it. I don't have that record. I don't have any Ronettes, unfortunately, because I do like the Ronettes. But here's my connection. When that song came out, when Brian Wilson was driving his car in Hawthorne, California, and he heard the Ronettes doing Be My Baby. And the story goes, he was so blown away by the song, he pulled over to the side of the road to listen to it, then went out and bought a jukebox and bought that record, put it in the jukebox, and listened to it endlessly. He became absolutely like obsessed with the song Be My Baby by Phil Spector and the Ronettes. So much so that he wrote a response to it called Don't Worry, Baby, which appears on this album, Shutdown Volume 2.
Really?
Wow.
So that's a big leap, but that's the only that's what I got.
I wasn't sure, Richard. Maybe I thought maybe you might have. Do you remember Ned's Atomic Dustbin? They did a remake from So I Married an Axe Murderer, and I thought maybe someone might go the Mike Myers route as well. So and because it is. This is Joanne's, and if it wasn't, I'd probably still have it because at the time I probably really enjoyed Saturday Night. It was a great fun song, and it still is. Yeah, so they do a really good job of it though. Ned's Atomic Dustbin really kick it up a notch, I think. And
I actually forgot about that, and I do have that. So, that would have been a good connection.
Yeah, and like I said, it is the most accessible to those of us that think that they are not worthy of it. Song, I think, is Saturday Night for sure, right? But because that could have been a sweet song, that could have been a like a glam rocky kind of song. I mean, it is for sure. But so good stuff.
Okay,
next,
keep it rolling, Joe.
All right, up next, I'm gonna get this one out of the sleeve. Because it's lenticular, and I don't think that factored in because I didn't tell you it was lenticular or not. But and I know Richard's going to have something. I'm not sure where the other two are going to go, but it's Kiss and Psycho Circus, and as you can see, it is lenticular. If you move it around, it's kind of tough to see sometimes. It usually works on camera. Oh, there you go. You just got to get it. There you go. You do that, then you do that, and it comes back. But this was the comeback for all of them back together again, wearing makeup. This was the last one that they did together, right? Because Sonic Boom had the other guys on it. So that was the last everybody in war paint Kiss album from the original four. And there is my ticket to the Psycho Circus tour. So there you go. Let's see where you go, gentlemen.
Okay, Richard.
Hey, I have a lot of Kiss on vinyl. I don't have Psycho Circus. It's not my favorite album, but I do have it on CD, and the CD is lenticular too. I forgot to bring it. I went very simple with this one. I went albums with clowns on the cover.
Sure.
I actually found two, so go figure. Queen's Innuendo has a clown on the cover, which is not a gatefold. I thought it was. It is.
Oh.
And it's in the shrink. What are we going to do, Rob?
Grip it and rip it.
Oh, here he goes. Look at that. Oh, man. Not only are we getting a gatefold, we're getting a freshly opened gatefold. Holy.
Ready? Smells fresh.
Oh, look at that. That's worthy of being opened up. Look at that. That's great.
See, that's why I don't get when people keep them wrapped up. You want to see that stuff. That's awesome.
Well, I think I'd forgotten it was a gatefold. Anyway, that is one. Then I also found Has anyone heard of the group called the Cardiacs
No.
out of the UK? They're super quirky, very unusual, very experimental, artsy. Their records command ridiculous prices, and this was a reissue that I think I had a CD back in some point in time of a couple of Cardiacs or best of Cardiacs, and I was like, oh, this got reissued, so I went ahead and bought it. But yeah, there you go, another clown on the cover. So nothing too inventive and exciting, and oh god, guess what?
Oh,
Rip
another
it,
one.
rip it.
All right. Jeez.
This is
Another
great.
freaking game
The
that I have to
ratings
sleep
are going
for.
through the roof.
What is going on?
I have an album that has a clown on the cover that is very disturbing. I won't show it.
Oh, there they
you
are.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The makeup continues on the inside, I
Exactly.
think, right? Yeah.
So I went makeup overload.
Well done.
Excellent.
Thank you for making me rip those apart. So they needed.
You feel better now, right? You're
I
unburdened.
do.
See?
That innuendo one's pretty sweet. I don't have that album, and that's a good album. That's a Queen album I
Yeah,
should
this
have.
is
And that is
like 2013, I think, when they did all the reissues.
yeah.
I went
And that's
ahead
great
and picked them
artwork.
up because they were fairly inexpensive when they did the reissues back then. So
Nice.
that cover,
Very
Yeah,
cool.
it's fantastic artwork on it. It's great.
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, it's a good album too.
Yes.
Okay,
For
Daryl,
sure.
what's your connection?
All right. So, in doing my research about the Psycho Circus album, even though it was Kiss's last album as a group of the original four members, it says that they weren't necessarily always around each other for the recording of the songs. So the album itself was primarily made of session musicians at times. And so there are many bands that use session musicians and alternate musicians and stuff like that. But probably one of the most renowned ones, I guess you would say, is one where it's one musician and then the rest of the album is recorded using session musicians. And probably one of the most renowned people for doing that is probably Alan Parsons. And so, you know, the Eye in the Sky album, all his other albums. I mean, I was looking at how many session musicians were on this. I mean, you're looking at least like 15, 16, maybe even 20 session musicians. And quite frankly, this is probably for me one of the best instrumental songs leading into a major track that I've ever heard. And not only that, I'm not a basketball fan. I can't stand basketball, but I mean, come on, the Chicago Bulls of the 1990s and that series leading into Eye in the Sky is fantastic. So my connection is Alan Parsons Project because there is a gazillion session musicians on this album alone. I could have went with any Alan Parsons Project album, but you know, I didn't look at how many session musicians are on this one. Maybe I'll take a look here. Yeah, like at least 6, including Bob Ezrin. Production by Bruce Fairbairn. Right? I mean, there's a lot of session musicians on that Psycho Circus album. So, yeah, that's my connection, session musicians.
Yeah, and the big difference between Alan Parsons and Kiss is that I just looked. Kiss never, ever said it was anybody but the four of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though Peter probably played one drum fill on this album, he's on there, and Anton and everybody else isn't on there. But anyway, I digress.
Okay.
He's an asshole.
All right.
He's a rich asshole, but he's an asshole. And a lot of my money. But anyway.
Aren't all of them that are in music? Okay. Joe, I'm going to ELO.
Excellent.
From
That's
Kiss.
it.
Can you figure out how I'm getting there?
No.
Okay. It's already been mentioned earlier this evening. So there's a certain member of Kiss named Ace Frehley who did a solo album called Trouble Walkin'. And on the album Trouble Walkin', there is a song called Do Ya,
Yep.
who was written by Jeff Lynne and released on this ELO record. I had to research deep on this one because I know nothing about Kiss. I don't want to know nothing about Kiss. So this was a hard one for me. So there you go.
I thought maybe, because it's Bruce Fairbairn produced it, so I thought maybe you guys might go there because he's done lots of stuff as well. But that's good. And then the engineer and stuff, I'm not sure, but I thought you might go with Fairbairn. But Ace's version of Dewey is pretty good. It's on another one he did called Origins as well. But that's a good connection. I wasn't sure where everybody was going to go with that, but that's good. That's good.
Okay, back to you, Joe.
I like that one.
All right. This is
on.
very
This is a gatefold. Hold on. Shit, I think. Oh no, it's not. I thought it was a gatefold. It's not. Carry on.
I think out of the blues, might be the only gatefold ELO.
Right, that's the one I was thinking of. Sorry,
I'm not sure. It is for sure a gatefold. It's right over there. This is really my list, isn't it? Sorry about that. I mean, I don't know if I should apologize. You guys are all been fine with who I've been picking. So
yeah.
But it is definitely a Joe list because here comes AC/DC now. So, and I'm not sure why this one. I think I was listening to It's a Long Way to the Top when I was making my list or something like that. But again, you got a lot of different ways to go with this. You could go with guys wearing shorts and hats. I don't know. You could go with Australia, but let's see where you go with AC/DC. And again, whether you go with the album or you go with the band. The album being High Voltage for those that are not familiar with AC/DC's covers.
Okay.
The North American version of it. That's one thing I do have to find. I want to try and find the other two originals. You're going to show me one, aren't you? Yeah, you are. No? Oh, I thought maybe he was going to show me an original, which would be cool.
The emphasis being is that this is for the North American version of this album, because if you had shown the Australian version, it would have screwed my little theory here. So
it's different, yeah.
Yes. So my connection is this. High Voltage, the North American edition, is kind of a hybrid of two of their last two albums. So it's like a compilation of songs from High Voltage and TNT, right? I think. So yeah,
I believe so,
together. And some of it made it and some of it didn't. And the same thing happened with OMD's first album that was released in North America. And for years, I did not know that this was a combination of the first two albums from OMD, which were Organization and their debut, which I finally picked up on CD probably within the last 5 years. So I've heard songs like, I didn't even know that existed. But I bought this. This was kind of an epic cheapy album when they first came out, because it was like they're trying to promote a band and sell it on the cheap. I want to say these were like $5, maybe $5.99 was the list. So I snapped this up, absolutely loved it. I'd already heard songs like Enola Gay. What else is on here? Messages, a couple of others that were singles on MTV, and absolutely loved it. Super stark and dark. But so yeah, that was my connection with like albums that were kind of a combination of two albums put together into one.
Very nice.
Well done.
Yeah, that happened a lot, I think, right? Where it was the home country version and then the version that the rest of us got. And to Chilled Pint's point, yes, Bon Scott made playing the bagpipes very cool. It is the greatest bagpipe solo ever. I know there's not a lot of really good bagpipe solos. There are some. That just happens to be the greatest one ever. My opinion. Okay, Daryl.
Okay, Daryl.
All right. Well, speaking of bagpipes, that is going to be my connection on this one. But I'm going to preface this one by saying, like, I normally don't show records like this. And in fact, I don't typically listen to records like this. However, we've talked about stories about where we've got our records from or inherited them from and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, but my grandfather was in the Canadian military for 30 years, I think it was. He was a Korean War vet and stuff like that. And his two go-to styles of music were usually like Celtic music from the 20s and 30s, and I've talked about that. But his other favorite type of music is obviously military bands and stuff like that. And a few of the records that I inherited from my grandfather were his military collections. So I figured it would be fitting to show this one. This is a straight up bagpipe military album, and it's called Pipes and Powder. And you can see right on the cover there that all the bagpipes in the world are on there. So my connection is just straight up bagpipes. It's not a true connection, but I thought it would be kind of a cool time to show that album because I don't usually get to. So yeah, bagpipes and actually this one here was, you can see he was in the artillery. So the where is that logo right there? That was his. I think that might have been part of his division. So kind of cool. There we go.
Great.
Like it.
We could kind of come full circle because Saturday night we talked about Ned's Atomic Dustbin's version of Saturday Night, which was in So I Married an Axe Murderer, which had a bagpipe solo in it as well, and the piper was down. We have a piper down. I love that movie. The Pentamerate. The Colonel and his wee beady eyes. Anyway, I'm done. Go ahead. Rob, you're up.
Okay. So we're going to go this way. Again, if Richard was keeping score tonight, he'd have to mark this one down again. I'm going to go from AC/DC to Blue Rodeo. Do you know how I'm going there, Joe? Can you figure it out?
No, I don't. No.
SARS stock.
Oh, okay. Sure. Yeah.
So, So in 2003, in Ontario, Toronto specifically, we had an outbreak of SARS, which is a communicable respiratory disease similar to COVID. And a lot of people died, and it really decimated Toronto's tourism for a good part of a year. So when the SARS outbreak was over, they organized a large outdoor festival in the vein of Woodstock. I mean, it was like the Canadian Woodstock, literally. It was at Downsview Airport, which is actually where they're building a concert venue, and Oasis is going to play this summer. But it's an old military airfield that has not been used in years. And there was, I think the estimates are about 300,000 people came. And AC/DC was the headliner, and the Rolling Stones were the co-headliners, and there were a few other acts, of which Blue Rodeo was one of them. They were the big name local artists because these guys are Canadian from Toronto. So of all the Canadian bands, these guys were the biggest Canadian band on the bill. And so, yeah, I picked these guys. My good friend Bob, who's standing right there. Great video of him having a ripping guitar solo on, I think it was Better Off As We Are. I've been to Bob's house before, and downstairs in his recording studio has a picture framed on the wall of Blue Rodeo with the Stones and AC/DC backstage. It's got all of them, a group shot of them. So he's standing there near Angus Young, I guess it was. But anyway, yeah. So that's the rodeo played Sarstock, which was a pretty legendary festival. Blue Rodeo and AC/DC. So there you go.
I seem to remember. I think that was televised.
Absolutely, it was on the CBC.
Yeah, and I don't remember if I watched all of, but I certainly remember watching parts of it and knowing what it was about. Yeah, that would have been. Whatever.
Can do what I want, John. It's my live stream.
Good job, boys.
Move around a little bit too.
Nice connections yet again.
Yes.
You never know where you're going to go with this. Well, that's why we like doing this, right? Because it really goes all over the friggin' place, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, all right.
You guys said you were doing this. I was so excited. I was like, yeah,
I didn't know you liked it that much, Richard.
I love it.
Oh, cool. I'm glad. We like it too. It's a fun one.
So we talked about genre-defining albums.
Hold on, before you get going there, Joe. Yes,
wait, okay.
Timberlake was the one. Justin Timberlake did not fit in with the other assortment of artists. That I can't remember who else was on the bill, but he did not fit in well and was booed off the stage. Absolutely.
Wow. I looked it up just because I remembered most, but not everyone. So it was the Stones, AC/DC, Timberlake, Rush, The Guess Who, Sass Jordan, the Isley Brothers, Kathleen Edwards, and Blue Rodeo. There's the
Right.
ones that
I forgot Rush was on that. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yep.
It was good.
Hell of a festival. In the blistering hot sun and not a tree for miles. Like,
Nowhere to hide.
nope. Absolutely. Okay, Joe, take her away. Sorry.
All right. No, not at all. Not at all. So yeah, we talked about genre defining punk albums. We talked about the UK genre defining punk album. This is the North American genre defining album. Joey Didi. Good Lord. Why I am losing my mind. Joey Didi, Tommy, and Johnny Ramone, the Ramones, none of which were actually named Ramone, but that's okay. So this is the first one. This is where it went. Where it started, back to the CBGB days. That's a good movie. Has anybody seen that movie with Snape? I think it's a good movie. I think they do a really good job of it, actually. I think it's pretty good. Talking Heads make a little bit of an appearance, and it's good. But anyway, the Ramones, self-titled. Let's see where you guys take us with the Ramones.
Okay. Richard.
First of all, I don't have that on vinyl for some reason. I have a lot of Ramones. When they did the reissues of these, I bought like all of them. So I have a lot of them on CD, but not on vinyl. Record store day Ramones, though, I'm like, gimme. Because it's always like great live shows from wherever.
Yeah.
Research on the Ramones revealed that this album's recorded in 7 days. Completely on a budget of like $6,500.
Yeah.
So, could I find any other debut albums that were recorded in less than a week? I found 3. The first, Fountains of Wayne debut album, which is absolutely stunning. This was my favorite Fountains of Wayne album until I heard, the one that Sam recommended I get, and I found it on CD, and the name completely escapes me, which is actually better than this. Another album that was recorded in less than 7 days was The Beatles' Please Please Me, which I believe was recorded in less than 1 day.
Correct.
Just turn it on and go. Is that? And
I think it was done in like 16 hours, I think, something like that.
Yeah, it was just like a marathon session. And I think it was the same with Led Zeppelin 1, which was recorded in less than a week. So, go figure. Classic albums that remain and still are and still sell well, and they were recorded on like a shoestring budget in no time at all.
Yep. Good.
Excellent.
Okay. Daryl.
All right. So for my connection, I kind of went straight and simple on this one. So earlier you showed Sex Pistols, one of the OG groups in the punk era, and some people might even argue that the Ramones is even more OG than that. But hey, who's to say who came first, right? But when I was reading about the Sex Pistols, you don't see too many prominent bands come out and say, hey, they influenced us. Whereas I think some of the bigger bands definitely have stated the Ramones were their big influence. And one of those bands, and this is my connection, but Billy Joe Armstrong has straight up stated that one of his biggest influences on his career, his punk rock music and stuff going through the 90s, is definitely the Ramones. So my connection is just straight up Green Day was that album and that band specifically was one of their biggest influences on their entire career. Mm-hmm. So that's a pretty big connection. I mean, when a band this popular straight up states that, you've done your job as a band, that you've influenced somebody on that scale.
There was a show on MTV. I can't remember what it was called, but they took band A and then got to band Z, and I think it was the Ramones was A and Green Day was Z, or how did we get there? I can't remember what it was, what the show on MTV was called, but that just the direct connection. Billy Joe Armstrong listened to this album ad nauseum, probably, right? Yeah. So yeah.
And I mean, the funny thing is their styles are, like, if you listen to Green Day and you listen to the Ramones, I mean, there's a little bit of similarity, but I mean, Green Day has taken punk music on a whole different level. but that influence, you can tell it's there. You can tell in some of their songs that it's straight up Ramon influenced. Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay. I'm doing the twofer because I can.
Exactly.
I'm going with this one first. You know this one, Joe.
I do know that one.
This is the album that everyone hates because they were giving it for free on their iTunes and everyone got pissy about it. This is U2's Songs of Innocence, which is a fantastic album. And the lead track on here is called The Miracle of Joey Ramone. And when I saw U2 on this tour, Bono talks a lot between songs, likes to tell long and winding stories. And he was telling the story about this song and how literally the first time he heard the Ramones back in 74, whenever they came out, it was literally like an epiphany for him, a miracle. And he knew that that's what he wanted to do with the rest of his life. So U2's The Miracle of Joey Ramone. Great song. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also going to show this one. One of the few punk records I have. I have a lot of Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, who I love. They're a punk super group and Weird Al rolled into one. So they cover songs that are not punk songs, but make them punk songs, which is great. They have a slew of albums. This is their first live album. It actually just came out. It's called I Blow It at Madison's Quinceanera. I don't speak Spanish, so I don't know if I spelled that right or said that right. The connection to the Ramones is this gentleman right there is one CJ Ramone, who was the bass player that replaced Dee Dee when he retired. And Dee Dee continued to write some songs for the band even after CJ was the new bass player. So there you go.
Excellent.
We have a song about the Ramones, and we have a Ramone.
Nice.
Perfect.
Yeah. Let's see here. This is where you can reach me now is a good song on Songs of Innocence. Yes, agreed. Absolutely. I love that whole album, but then I can't stand Songs of Experience, the album that came after it. So, yeah. John says we used to do the Me First version of All My Lovin' when I was in a band. Yeah, that's a great version. It's great. Some of the songs they do, so this is a live album. It's not one of their best, but they do stuff like a punk version of Dancing Queen or Love Will Keep Us Together. Crazy. Anyway, they're a lot of fun. They're actually coming to Toronto, and I'm kind of like, should I go? Should I not? I don't know. I haven't decided yet.
You should go. You should just go.
I should.
Just God damn it, just go. God
I know, but here's the thing. I hate where concerts are in Toronto. It's a pain in the ass to get. I hate going downtown. It sucks. So I don't know. We'll see. I also don't like leaving my house after 8:00 at night, and I like to sit on my couch and watch TV or do YouTube. So there you go.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough. All right. What do we got? We got 3 left. Do you want to do? Well, we either have 2 left, which would be 12, or we can do all 3.
What do you guys want to do? All 3? Let's
do all
you
3.
Hold them. You got to show them.
Yep.
I'm not going anywhere, so here we go.
Hold on. I forgot to show my gatefold. There you go. There's my gatefold.
Oh, very nice. Well, you got to make it big because I want to actually kind of see that on the inside. Sorry. I'm just going to be a pain in the ass now.
So I guess a quinceanera.
Quinceanera.
Sure. I guess it's kind of like a
Quinceanera. Yeah, it's a
quinceanera.
Celebrate 15th birthday.
It's kind of like a 15-year-old bar mitzvah, but not for Jewish people. And so this was literally, I guess, an actor. They were hired to do this person's
cool
thing. So this is just Polaroids from that. And I didn't show this gatefolds. Sorry, Songs of.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I couldn't remember if that was a gatefold or not. It is.
There you go.
And sometimes they're just band shots, but the Polaroids from the other one are cool. So
yeah, it's kind of cool, and they have little captions underneath them, and yeah. So, sorry, Joe, your turn.
Okay. Never apologize, my friend. Never apologize. All right, up next we're going to go with a little-known artist named David Bowie. and a little known album called Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. Again, there's some stuff on the cover you guys could go with. You can go with Dave, and you can go with multiple versions of Dave. You can go with alter egos. I'm not sure where you're going. You can go with people in phone booths, which is what is on the back cover going on. This is not a gatefold. There are probably versions of it that are, but this is not the gatefold because this is an original, well, somewhat of an original, a Canadian original in the part of the Best Buy series. So I'm interested to see where you guys go with this one. And I hope it has nothing to do with this little bit on the cover because that's fucking stupid. But anyway, that's my humble opinion.
I didn't do that, so
Good.
I did struggle a bit, kind of going like, where do I want to go with this one? So I kind of dug a bit and looked at, thinking concept album. Yeah, you could show a concept album. How about concept out? Ziggy Stardust is very much a concept album that is surrounding only one character or a theme or whatever for the entire album. It never breaks the theme or the concept. And the album I went with is Rush's final album, Clockwork Angels, which was based on stories in a book and whatnot. I think I'm tried to get the book, or I have the book, or I have it on Kindle. I can't remember. A very dystopian character or time, and this is a gatefold.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, this was one amazing tour to see. It was probably, in my opinion, Rush's most tour de force of visuals and videos and stage props and whatnot. It was just an absolutely beautiful show to see. So central theme around or carried throughout an entire album, where other Rush albums might have like all of side one is the concept and the rest is a bunch of other songs. So
not only was Neil Peart put on this earth to play drums, but he was also put on this earth to write lyrics. And I think a lot of people forget that, as amazing of a drummer as he was, he could write some lyrics as well. Now there's another aspect of Daryl's video that discusses Rush a little bit. Don't forget to watch Daryl's newest version of his videos, which is very good. But I can't remember if that was the tour where it was the rotisserie of chickens on the cover or on the stage, or if it was the washing machines. I can't remember which, because I saw one Snakes and Arrows, I think, which was maybe
the washing machines was R30 because I was at Red Rocks for that one.
Okay.
So it must have been the one out. It might have been Snakes and Arrows.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Snakes and Arrows had the chicken rotisseries on, and then I don't know what. I don't think I got a chance to see the last time through. So.
Okay.
Good job,
Daryl.
Thank you.
Okay, this one was tricky for me. So I definitely had to do a little bit of research, but there are one specific famous uncredited musicians that are on this particular album. And there is a song or a track that is on there called It Ain't Easy. And a very famous keyboardist from the 1970s went uncredited on that particular track, and that would be Rick Wakefield of Yes fame. And so my connection is that one of the most famous keyboardists of the prog era, I suppose you could say. One of the few albums by Yes I have. I mean, I'm hit and miss with Yes. I don't mind Owner of a Lonely Heart and some of that stuff. This is the Tormato album, which is pretty good. But yeah, just I don't know much about Rick Wakefield and Yes, but pretty amazing keyboardist though. Like if you listen to this one through and you listen to some of the other ones, we had talked about the Kiss album, the Psycho Circus one earlier, and just the amount of uncredited musicians that often go with some of these records, and then you look at it and you go, and I think Rob, you mentioned some of the uncredited ones on the White Album. You just go, how did this go uncredited? And Rick Wakefield is another one. It's kind of mind-blowing to think that this guy, one of the most famous keyboardists of all time, went uncredited. But maybe because what year was this was what, 1972? Maybe because Rick Wakefield and Yes hadn't really come to fame at that point. You may be able to argue, but it's surprising that he was uncredited on that particular album. It's a pretty big album. So there we go. Rick Wakefield.
Good one.
Sam.
There's Sam.
And there you go.
I already talked about the Beach Boys tonight, Sam. You missed it.
Sam showed a picture today that made me very, very, very jealous. Equal
Earle.
to you meeting Tom Cochrane.
Yeah, Steve Earle.
Equal. Yeah,
Yep.
Steve Earle.
Yep. Okay. I'm going to show a record called Paper Bag Records versus the Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars.
Sure.
Nobody knows what this is. There are only 500 of these made. So, has this little insert in it that says, Paper Bag Records thanks you for all your support over the years. Happy PBR 10. So, Paper Bag Records is an indie label in Toronto that releases mainly Canadian artists. And in honor of their 10th anniversary, which was in 2012, so they're founded in 2002, they released this as a anniversary celebration. So the roster of artists that were on the label recreated the entire Ziggy Stardust album. Each band picked the song and they recorded the whole thing. You couldn't buy this. This was given to customers that bought Paper Bag Records releases, whenever the anniversary was. So I am a huge fan of a band called Cuff the Duke. And I just happened to buy a Cuff the Duke record when this came out. So this was given to me for free. Cuff the Duke has a song on here. They did the song Star. Some of the other bands that are on here, Born Ruffians, Rural Alberta Advantage. Joe would know who they are. Elliott Brood. So this is a group of Canadian indie artists covering Ziggy Stardust in its entirety.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've listened to it once.
This is an unbelievably good album, by the way. I mean, I don't know. I think
It is.
it is. I'd put it in my top 20 at least. At least my top 20.
Okay. What do you got next for us, Joe?
All right, we got 2 to go.
2 to go.
And this is going to be another one where there'll be a few ways to get there, whether it's the band, the album, and or the concept, I guess, a little bit, but it is the Cars and Candio. And it's unfortunate, but the gentleman that did the cover didn't do any other album covers, and I'm surprised. They actually had to get him out of retirement to do this one because he had quit painting by the time it came around. And I'm not sure who it is that talked him into it. I don't know if it was Okasik or who it was, but Vargas is the artist. All kind of pin-uppy stuff, not kind of pin-uppy stuff, pin-uppy stuff, pin-up pictures. But very iconic album cover. And I always thought that if they ever do a live version of this, the car is the car. But I think if they got Christina Hendricks from Mad Men, I think she could be the cover model that would work on here for a lot of reasons, including the red hair. But anyway, I want interesting to see where you guys go with. If you go with the Cars, if you go with a car, if you go with the artwork, or you go with Candio. Maybe there's I Want Candy, a little bow wow wow. That was an option that I'm fairly certain none of you picked. That's why I said it, but maybe not.
So just so you're aware, Joe, I have it up. Vargas was actually persuaded by his great niece.
Oh, really?
Do the painting because she was a fan of the Cars.
She was a band fan, and so she talked her great uncle into. Well, there you go. Good
Pretty
job.
Cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. Yes, okay. John, those are not necessarily the 2 good reasons. There's more reasons, but anyway.
Speed bumps. Good Lord. I decided to go with, now I love the Cars. I don't think I have every Cars album, but I have a lot of them. But then I looked at like who's on the roster of Elektra Records that is like the antithesis of what the Cars are. Elektra Asylum had kind of an interesting roster of you think of like some labels and you think of a certain genre or a certain style of music that comes out like Blue Note, it's jazz or whatever. But Elektra had the Cars. Elektra had Warren Zevon, which is stellar live album. This is probably one of the best, up there live albums. Elektra had the Sugar Cubes, who I saw open for U2's Zoo TV tour, along with Public Enemy for some obscure reason.
That's a combination.
What
the hell?
Yes, it was Sugar Cubes, Public Enemy, and U2. And I was like, who came up with this? Anyway. And last but not least, X. This is probably my favorite X album, Under the Big Black Sun. They were all on Elektra Records or Asylum, as the case may be. But talk about a label that really signed a little bit of everything, kind of like RCA would sign Bowie, and then had Elvis, and then had
Yeah, sub pop's kind of like that too, right? You have
Very
a pretty
much
good idea of an artist that is on Sub Pop, or you see that they're on Sub Pop and go, well, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Sure. Or sometimes you get an album from this is on Sub Pop. What?
Yeah, every once in a while. Yeah,
there's a couple of those too.
And what do they call their first editions? Are their nude? No, they're what the hell are they?
No, oh god, they have the little sticker on them. I've seen them.
Anyway,
I can't think.
Someone will say it in the comments. Someone's much smarter, younger, whose brain cells aren't going away than me, not you. Yeah.
Okay. Daryl, what's your connection?
All right, so my connection actually is to do with the cover. So the cover of Candy-O, I believe that the reason that the album is called Candy-O is because of the woman that's on the front cover, and her name was Candy Moore, a model. I was trying to find more of. Oh, yeah, she was a model and an actress who appeared in the movie Lunch Wagon in 1981. So my connection is a model that is actually on a cover. So there's kind of I think that they even had to come up with a second cover for this. I had read maybe, but I know that this cover here that I'm going to show caused controversy. So, and it has to do with the urinal that's on the front cover, not the model that's on the front cover. So we're going to go a little Foreigner's Head Games. And she is also a model actress, Lisanne Falk. And so that is my connection, is that the two cover ladies are actually model / actresses. The only difference is that this one here caused quite a bit of controversy. Not because of her, but apparently because the urinal that she's sitting on was disgusting and dirty and kind of a weird way of doing it. But I think it's a great cover. And I mean, I've always liked the Dirty White Boy song. I mean, as sleazy as it is, it's a pretty cool song. So Foreigner's Head Games, two models / actresses on different covers, and yeah, maybe it's a little racy, but hey, who cares?
Plus,
we've all seen it.
Plus, Rick Ocasek married a model too, Paulina Portola.
Yes,
right?
That is right.
And it was a supermodel in the video for Stacy's Mom by Fountains of Wayne. If we're just trying to tie every single thing we've talked about tonight together into one.
Oh, but anyway, not? Let's do it.
Yeah. All right, Rob, where are you going with Candy-O?
Okay.
And or the Cars?
I'm making a connection that that album was produced by a producer named Roy Thomas Baker, who produced Everyone Under the Sun. But I'm going Queen, because if we look at his discography, he produced Queen, Queen 2, Sheer Heart Attack, A Night at the Opera, and Jazz. So guy has a little bit of experience working with Queen. He is the person responsible for producing Bohemian Rhapsody, which is, one might argue one of the more interesting songs ever recorded. So I'm just going to show Queen's greatest hits. I have a few Queen albums, but this pretty much covers the basis of everything that he produced with Queen. So there you go.
He's the George Martin of Queen, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's probably a fair assessment.
Plus, there's a David Bowie duet on that album as well. So see how far back we can reference back to the very first album.
We're just what a tangled web we weave, so to speak.
Exactly. Hey, look who's here! It's our buddy from Tokyo joining us. At what time would it be there?
It would be Monday morning in Tokyo.
Yeah, Monday morning. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, last one.
All right, that makes me a little sad. I'm a little sad that it's the last one, but
I know.
Anyway, it is a Van Halen album. It's none of the ones you're thinking of, I don't think, because it's going to be OU 812.
What a clever name.
Great album. Kind of like For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. Van Halen definitely put their tongue fully in their cheek when they were coming up with all of their album covers, including 5150. But this is OU 812 second offering with Sammy at the helm. I think it's a fantastic album. I would be hard pressed, honestly, to tell you whether I like the Dave version better than the Sammy version. It's kind of Brian Bond for me. I just like all of Van Halen. And yeah, there was lots more keyboards when Sammy took over, but there was lots of keyboards on 1984 as well. And everybody just forgot about it because everybody started to bitch about it when they got around to stuff like Right Now and things like that. So I'm not sure where you guys are going to go with that. There's the front. And I don't know if that is maybe where you're going to go with that, because that's a little bit of something, a little kind of. And there's the back, the thinker, thinking about what the hell can we call the next album what can we come up with for the next album? So there you go. Van Halen and OU 812.
Okay. Richard.
That is a great album. I love it.
Yeah.
I went with the cover art. Obvious Connection.
There you go.
And I was actually thinking there were other albums that kind of were along that line, and I really couldn't think of anything else other than Meet the Beatles. And it actually surprised me that they're sort of mirror images of each other.
Yeah,
just
there's a Rudels album that looks just like that. Or Ruddles.
Yeah, it's actually have that. Go figure. So yeah. Forgot about that one. So that's my connection. Sweet and simple.
Perfect.
Okay. Very good. Daryl.
You can also find out Daryl's opinion on Van Halen if you watch his latest video. Watch his latest video, damn it.
Yeah, you'll see that one too.
Then go and watch his video.
I like the advertising. I'm okay with that.
I'm trying, man.
That video has actually been getting some good traction, so we'll talk about it after. Good. So Rob, at the beginning of the show, you had mentioned, I think it was for the Pink Floyd album, that it was like the furthest thing possible away from that. This for sure is the furthest thing from Van Halen that you will ever see. And I want to see if Joe can connect this or not. Cheech and Chong.
No, not off the top of my head anyway. No.
So the Cheech and Chong's next movie, apparently there is a vehicle, I think it is a red Ferrari, and the license plate says OU 812.
Okay, sure.
And so my connection is Cheech and Chong's next movie, which I don't have, but this is Let's Make a Dope Deal. And the furthest thing you will ever find from Van Halen is Cheech and Chong. So a license plate in Cheech and Chong's next movie says OU 812, which I thought was pretty cool.
Very nice. Very good. Not quite the cinematic caliber of Up in Smoke, but I enjoyed Nice Dreams as well. And next movie.
Actually, the first record I ever heard with a swear on it, my dad My dad used to have Cheech and Chong's wedding album. And my dad played it for me one time. And there's a very sexual song. And I think it kicks it off. It's like literally they're having sex in a bed. And my dad was like, hey, don't ever tell your mother I let you listen to this. I was like 10 years old. So that's my Cheech and Chong memory going all the way back to that. And that's the one they actually had a hit song with Basketball Jones on that wedding album. It's such a I was
going to say song. Basketball Jones. Yep. Basketball Jones, Earache My Eye. They had some songs actually that were not bad, but yeah, Up in Smoke. How's my driving, man? I think we're parked.
Yeah. Can anyone think of it? Can anyone think of another famous Van Halen movie connection? Back to the Future.
Oh,
when Marty.
Oh yeah.
When Marty dresses up in the spaceman suit to scare the hell out of his father, and he puts the Walkman on.
That's right. Yeah.
Says Van Halen on there. Yep.
Yep.
Okay, this was a hard one, and this is a bit of a stretch, but it's still fair. So, I'm going to go from Van Halen to Bon Jovi. And how am I going to get there? Van Halen's last album was produced by this gentleman here, John Shanks, longtime Bon Jovi producer and now touring member of Bon Jovi, much hated by a lot of Bon Jovi fans, but I don't really have an opinion either way. So this is the most recent Bon Jovi record, Forever, which is okay. But yeah, John Shanks, who plays session guitar and touring guitar with Bon Jovi, produced Van Halen's last record. It's the best I could do. So
nice.
Well done, Joe. That was a good list.
It was not bad. Did you know that for a short period of time, Edward Van Halen was supposed to take over for Ace in Kiss because Gene was a big fan of Van Halen and Eddie was pissed off at Dave and everybody else was pissed off at Ace, and Eddie Van Halen almost joined Kiss. I don't know that. I don't know how that would have went. That would have been weird if he would have brought his style and his writing. I don't know. It would have been interesting to see. Anyway, I digressed. But yes, thank you. I thought you guys did fantastic. I wasn't sure. I know it was very much a Joe collection of albums, but for the most part anyway. So
that's okay. That was fun.
I think what makes this fun is we all learn something new by doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what's cool about it is you just learn something new, and even if you've never heard the album, it kind of gives you some insight onto what's going on there.
Agreed.
I just hope my Google search engine will forgive me for typing in the word Kiss.
Exactly. And the Bay City Rollers at the same time.
Fair enough. Yeah.
On the same day. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
We're really screwing the algorithm, right? Because Google's going, why would you search Kiss and the Bay City Rollers in the same night?
That's right.
It makes no sense.
And then you come up with Taylor Swift. So what are you going to do?
There you go. As we always do, we'll go around the horn and chat about what's going on our channels. Richard, since you're the honored guest, you put out a video today. What do you want to tell folks about?
I did put up a video today talking about albums I picked up that were kind of inspired by videos that are on from the vinyl community. And so it's part 1 of 2. I realized I bought quite a lot of albums last month, more than would probably be feasible for one video. So part 1 is the YouTube inspired ones. Part 2 is everything else and then some. So that'll be coming up soon.
Okay.
Nice.
Daryl, you put out a video or 2 recently?
Yeah, so this was it 2 days ago. I put out my 8 unpopular opinions video, which has got a lot of traction. It's got just looking it up, it's got over 100 views now in 2 days. So that's pretty cool. I've got a few new viewers as a result of it. And then last week I had done my Victoria Day royalty one, and there's been quite a few people that have made videos for that thread. A couple I just got an update during the show that Craig from Spirit of Vinyl just did one. So I'm gonna have to check that out. So basically 2 videos, but yeah, my unpopular opinions for some people in the comment section. Everybody so far has been keeping it friendly, which is good, because you never know. You can always have those idiots that don't bother to do that. No, your opinion is wrong. But well, that's the whole point of having an opinion. But I mean, I thought I was going to get kicked off the show for talking about my opinion about the British invasion there.
No, I can't say that I agree with you on everything, but that's the point. That's the way that it is, right? I mean, if the 4 of us agreed on everything, what the hell fun would that be?
A boring show.
Yeah, exactly.
So some might argue it already is a boring show, but
so if you're still tuned in and you want to check out what my opinions are about certain things in the music industry and bands and genres, then check it out.
Anything new coming up? You in the pipeline?
I keep talking about doing that whole. I know you, Rob, did it one time. It's like the black box, 10 fireproof box thing.
Yeah.
So if you could put 10 records in your collection that
you had to save at all costs,
you want to save that. I think that one might be coming up next.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good. Joe, what about you? What's going on at the store or on your own channel? What do you want to tell folks?
Yeah. Got this the store one that I did today where I talked about some new albums that we got in and the fact that we can supply new albums and that you should buy local when you can. And it doesn't mean necessarily just buy local for me, just buy local if you can. So that and shop's been good. It's been steady, a little quieter in the summer. People are finding different things to do besides record shopping, but it still sustains. It would be tough, though. I'll be honest with you. It would be tough if we were just the store. People think, I'm not sure exactly as far as new stuff. The used is different, but the new stuff, as I talked about earlier, there's not a hell of a lot of markup on that stuff. So it's a tough go these days. But like I said, we've got the luxury of the fact that we are a store within a store, so it's nice. And so we've got a good. The doors are going to be open regardless, so that's nice. Personally, I've just been focusing on doing our Wednesday shows. The game show, again, I'm still kind of thinking about how I'm going to do that. I have to find a way to bring that to life a little more, where there's some more participation from everybody. And you and I, Rob, have talked about that a little bit, so I'll tweak that, maybe try and bring that back. I've thought of a bunch of different things I want to talk about, but like I said, I like to leave it to the Wednesday night for now anyway, and have some fun. So
fair.
And I've bought more records than I should have in the last little while. So I think next week I'll suggest the topic of just show the last 12 records you bought, because they're all still sitting over there and I don't have to put anything away. It's just pull them out, show them, put them back over there to be listened to. So
that's good. That's good. What did I do? I did a video last week, my Sunday video, at the behest of Richard, of all people. It came up in the live stream I was doing. I was a guest on with Chris, Vinyl Man, about managing my digital music library, because we were talking about it on the stream, and I mentioned how I do it, and Chris on the stream said, you should do a video about that because you do it a lot different than folks do. And then Richard messaged me and said, you absolutely should. And they did it, and nobody watched the damn video. So,
really?
I did. I watched it today. That is crazy that you have it hooked up to like every freaking TV in your house. That is insane.
Yeah. I'm just kind of a media nerd, right? So,
in a good way, though.
The fact you have 5 TVs,
but it's like I would never do that in my house just because I live alone. So it's just like way too. No, I'd have to dismantle my house to put it together. So
it's. I mean, the hardest thing was networking in my house. Now, not every room is connected. Now, there's Wi-Fi everywhere, but I don't like relying on Wi-Fi. Like, I mean, my laptop that I'm on right now is plugged into a docking station that has a Cat 6 cable that runs my server rack. So I don't like relying on Wi-Fi because it's kind of spotty, right? So I prefer to have things hardwired. It makes the connection a little bit faster. So, I mean, that was the hardest part. But in terms of using Media Monkey to manage and having a network attached storage drive, to me, that's kind of simple stuff. I'm kind of a little bit of a computer nerd. So, but yeah, I thought more people would have watched that, but it's one of the lowest watched videos I've made in ages. But that's okay. It was still an interesting topic, and I'm glad I did it. So,
I told you just have to rename it. You have to rename it. Digital media is the most stupid media in the world. But here's how I organize it.
You don't have to leave you don't have to leave a comment, Brian. It's all good, man. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it, though. The other thing that amazed me this week, and I texted it to Joe because I was shocked. I had a short that I did ages ago. It was just flipping through my Taylor Swift records, past 100,000 views.
Whoa.
I mean, there's a lot of Swifties out there, right? So, but I was just shocked that, if you had told me 3 years ago when I started YouTube that I would have a video of any description that was watched by 100,000 people. I mean, I'm not even in the video. It's just my hands, but that's insane when you think about it. So
that's good, though.
I know it's only a short, but still, it's interesting. So, and I'm going to make a video this Sunday. I got a pretty incredible VCLT in the mail from Keith at Attack Down Under in New Zealand. It's amazing. I won't say what's in it. Watch the video that comes out on Sunday. I filmed when I unbox it. I've got to edit. I have to edit it before Sunday, but it was incredibly thoughtful, and there's some pretty awesome stuff in there. There's some pretty there's something in there that made me laugh my ass off. So if Keith ever watches this, I know he'll watch the video on Sunday, but thank you, Keith. That was incredibly thoughtful, and I would like to figure out a way to reciprocate. So keep an eye out for the unboxing on Sunday. So that's where we sit. So
cool,
gentlemen, that was fun. I mean, Wednesday's always fun. I really like these connections episodes. They're a blast. So Richard, thank you for joining us. We love whenever you come on, man. So
thank you.
As always, you're welcome anytime, and we'll probably see you again in the very near future. So
hope so.
Exactly.
To all the folks that joined us tonight in the comments, thank you for watching. Thank you for spending some time with us, and we love engaging with you in the comments. And for the folks that are going to watch us later, we appreciate your time as well. So on behalf of my co-hosts, thank you all very much. And we will see everybody next Wednesday. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.